Dzień dobry, good morning.
Hello everybody, good morning. Magda Kulczycka.
And Kazimierz Murzyn.
Okay, the couple. We have a honor to welcome you on the session of devoted, two sessions actually, devoted. That's why I'm here, because I just wanted to hello and I have to go to another meeting. Sessions devoted to business development. And this year, this time, we defined this as a challenging, demanding, but essential part of the life science innovation development and management. And the session is divided into three parts. First, about these challenges, which will be led by Magda and our keynote, distinguished guests from Warsaw. Then managing talents, and then managing money. So all interesting from the perspective of business development. I will leave the stage to Magda, and hopefully you will enjoy it.
Me? For sure.
Okay.
And I hope that the audience will also enjoy the content and the merit of this panel session. And just to make a short organization note, whatever question comes up, arises in your head, just raise your hand during the panel session or any kind of presentations, and feel free to ask and raise questions. So, Katarzyna Kolasa is our keynote speaker of this part, as Kazimierz mentioned. And I would like to give you a brief introduction about Katarzyna. She's a professor of Koźmińskiej Academy, where she leads Digital Health Start Me Up course. Currently, she cooperates also with Polish Chamber of Physicians and Dentists. And in the past, Katarzyna has a long track record of cooperation with international big pharma companies. So she gained experience in such companies like AstraZeneca, Biogen, GE Healthcare, Lundbeck, Bristol Myers Squibb. Bristol BMS is Bristol Myers Squibb, exactly. So as you can guess, Katarzyna has a lot of experience and a lot to say. So please join us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for this warm welcome, and I hope I can stand here because you can still see me with my tall 185 centimeters. So hopefully it's not an issue. Very nice to be here today. I think this session is really important, so that's why I accepted the invitation, and knowing that everybody likes to talk about AI these days in the context of healthcare without the reason, and this is what I think it's important to bring ourselves into the same context regarding the development from European/global context, and that's my purpose for this 20 minutes or so, to show you a couple of examples that I found relevant to understand where we are today and what we should do to move ourselves to the next level. And indeed, I have been working with the. I don't have a remote for the slides, I guess. Okay, I have been working for 20 plus years in pharma. Thank you. Within market access, health economics departments, globally and European-wise, as well as medical devices. And the last 2 years and a half, I have been leading the health economics modeling team at Parexel. So being exposed to a lot of different contexts regarding the value proposition for health technology. And I think the AI, what it gives us is opportunity to change the perception of the value in the healthcare. Today we have more than 500 software registered by FDA, and this number is pretty staggering when we compare it to how many of those are reimbursed, which is less than 10. And I think that's something that shows us how big gap is between availability and adoption. And I think that's something that is not understood fully yet that AI is not the new software, it's not a new technology, but it's a data provider. And we see that the healthcare is among those industries that with the highest and the most dynamic growth of the data. So we should think first of all about AI as a data provider. We live in the digital transformation era with big data being the name of the game. The problem with this is that the data is not only about the volume, but also variety and veracity. So it's not only that we have more data, but we have a different data we used to have. So actually, healthcare is not about electronic medical records anymore. Healthcare is about the data we have in our phones, or we produce by using the phones on different platforms. So tracking our behavior. And that's another important point why I don't work for pharma anymore, because the pharma is not the giver of innovation. These days, the innovation comes from startups, from digital communication companies. So you should feel yourself proud and enthusiastic about the future, because this is why I change, maybe not so much change, but even at the pharmaceutical conferences I'm happy to attend and speak. We do talk a lot about the digital health. I managed myself to start up the Digital Health Special Interest Group 2018 for a Pharma Economics organization, ISPOR. At that time, but it was, why do we need to have it? And now we have more than 200 members within this health economics, market access environment. So it's a lot of interest, but pharma also, which I will show in examples, goes in direction of digital transformation as well. What we talk about digital transformation is any type of technology, which is not only AI, that collects and analyzes data and produce the output. So I think it's very important to understand, because we talked about the healthcare, meaning molecules, meaning medical devices. But actually, nowadays, we can produce health outcomes without molecules, without medical devices. And the question how we track the effect of those technologies on our daily life. And this is enormous change, because it brings us to something that we have not considered ourselves as being data owner. And the GDPR, of course, introduced that individual owns the data. But do we really mean it? Do we really introduce it in our daily life? I don't think so. So it's important to understand that it's the contribution to the innovation comes from us individuals by collecting the data. And there are some examples. The example by Verily, so it's a very interesting project that introduce individuals to bring their own data by the blood samples, by the wearing wearables and sensors in order to understand potential predictors of diseases. Or Finland, that goes a little bit further and allow manufacturers as well as the researchers to use the data that is combined in a FinData project. Maybe some of you have heard. We collect data not only from biobanks, but connects it with the social security system. So in that way, holistic view of individual is collected in one spot, and then researchers are allowed to use it to understand a little bit more the burden of disease, as well as biomarker search, and you name it. NHS even pays patients to get their genetic data, but the first and foremost important country that has led this development of the data collection was Iceland. And they managed 20 years ago, start up this biobank. Now it's owned by one of the pharmaceutical companies, which was not without controversial not only in Iceland, but even worldwide. But nevertheless, it shows that the data brings researchers a new opportunity, and the digital transformation simply accelerates that process. Just out of context potentially, but if you look at the innovation that comes to pharmaceutical companies, 60% of those new molecules are not produced by pharmaceutical companies, but externally and being bought by pharmaceutical companies. So I think it's very important to realize that point, that innovation is actually happening here in this kind of room, not by big pharma anymore. And the innovation happens out of passion as well. I don't know if you saw, but if not, I highly recommend the documentary with a very nice dialogue with Michael Fox. Either on Netflix or Apple TV, I don't remember. But first I watched the documentary, then I spotted that actually this guy, suffering from Parkinson's disease from being 26 years old, and now having struggled to move on his own, and he described his journey obviously in this movie, but what he managed to successfully do, what none of the pharmaceutical company has ever managed to do, so recruit a lot of patients via social media to run his own foundation and to run his own study. And now he's collaborating with pharmaceutical companies to understand Parkinson's disease a little bit more. But it's unbelievable that digital transformation can accelerate the process of data collection, and it happens outside of the standard roofs of innovation, meaning pharmaceutical company and medical devices. It happens again through new channels. And that's why, without surprise, the pharma companies want to have their part in it, developing the accelerators like Novartis, being owner of some digital health solution like Biogen, who established his own app for multiple sclerosis patients, not one, but reviewing the cognitive dysfunction within across the patients, or Roche or Novartis. So even yesterday I talked to the Polish medical research agency, and they have collaboration with Novartis and some startups from Poland to collect the data. So I think this is the new mode that maybe the pharma will not develop only molecules, but will help digital startups to grow. And I hope it's going to happen, because what we have is in the future is Internet of Things, giving us enormous power of understanding who we are. And who we are, because I don't know how many of you wearing the smartwatch or any kind of device change your own behavior. I do, by tracking how many calories I spend either in swimming pool or playing tennis or whatever. So it's fascinating to understand how much I can improve myself. And I think this is changing a lot as our behavior as patients, and it helps us to find a new mode of treatment. And I'm specifically saying mode because there are different ideas that those data can provide us, but more importantly can optimize the treatment when we suffer from particular disease. Think about the Parkinson's, those wearing wearables. There are even mobile application connected with the wearables, then connected to the dashboard of the physician, and then physician knows exactly when to change the dosing and understand where is the difference between mild and moderate symptoms. So this is something that is already used and showing a lot of value. So the point here I want to make is that by connecting those digital solutions with standard of care, which is either a pharmaceutical or medical device, gives something more than incremental value. It's simply synergy effect, but collaboration is the name of the game, which has not happened so far. But those clinical trials which are decentralized, which became even norm during the pandemic, now becoming increasing a lot. 2 weeks ago, I ran the workshop at the eSports in Copenhagen, and we had more than 40 people attending this workshop about the digital endpoints. Digital endpoints are a completely new thing that does not even have one definition and has not been utilized in the regulatory form apart from 1 or 2 clinical trials. But I'm sure that it's going to be the future as patient-reported outcomes became a couple of years ago, number of years ago. So digital endpoint is really those data points that are collected through Internet of Things and shows us predictors of the change of the disease, either in terms of the understanding where the first symptoms happens or the disease progressed to the next level. So digital endpoints are really something that is extremely crucial. Without the definition, without important technological development, because the pharma companies suffer from having the providers of those solutions that could be long-lasting and provide business continuation. So I think this is definitely some untapped market potential for many. But it's used because this is how you can, in this decentralized way, understand patient more and collect data continuously, not during the electronic medical questionnaire. So there are some definition here, in case you will have my slides available. And more importantly for me, being health economics expert is, if I may say so about myself, is really to understand how this digital transformation changes the healthcare system, what kind of benefits it brings to us. And one for sure is that we are going to provide more savings to the healthcare system. Finally, we talked for the ages, and I was teaching my students about the incremental value, cost per quality. Now I think we need to ask the question how much money we are going to save by introducing this solution. So please don't underestimate the efficiency gains your devices, your technology produce. The first reimbursed software in US was actually driven by the number of minutes it saves in the stroke detection. So I think that's because it speeds up to the procedure of thrombolysis. So I think it's very important to understand that those digital solutions actually give the value from the efficiency standpoint, not the new treatment outcomes, but the money saved because of the time saving. One thing remember for us is that roughly 50% of us being patient have issues with compliance. Everyone has at least once forgotten to take the pill, right? So that's kind of obvious. And now think about how pharma can utilize the simple mobile apps to remind us about getting this pill on time. And this solution are already used in the form of clinical trials where with the measurement of adherence happens through those digital solutions. Most importantly in this kind of fields like schizophrenia, where we know that patients don't tend to be compliant, or it gives even one more step further. Unfortunately, it was not from ethical reasons, it was not introduced within Europe, but those digital pills for schizophrenia patients actually are already on the market in US. So in other words, the patient swallowing the pill, swallow the sensor, which detects the time of the pill being taken and informs the physician about adherence. And when I worked 20 plus years ago in AstraZeneca in Sweden, actually I did work with schizophrenia, apiprazole, this is the compound here, and then we tried to find out the way how to increase the compliance of patients. So then it was, Klaster, Abilify Mentena. Then now, after 20 years, during my career, now we have digital pill. So if somebody has any doubts about digital transformation, just look at those examples and the doubts are gone. But it means that we need to change. I, being the academic teacher, I need to change because I cannot teach the same thing I was doing 20 years ago. I completely changed the methodology and the approach to the healthcare. And the most important is that we see those mobile applications being as simple as something that pops up on our screen, but actually changes our behavior. And think how some pharma companies don't want only to change our behavior, but even give us premium for changes of our behavior. So that's an example from US, where one of the company that provides the treatment for asthma patients give the bonuses, financial bonuses, to patients for them if they stay adherent. So it's really translated to reward for those who stay adherent, and it gives some critical savings for the healthcare system of avoidance of the relapses. So that's something that has been taken upon by the government in Singapore, so which they distribute mobile application wearables, and they say if you are going to follow the doctor's prescription in terms of the number of steps taken because you are obese, you are under the risk of developing diabetes, then you are going to be remunerated in financial rewards. So something that is already changing the behavior of patients thanks to digital solutions. There are more examples, like the one from Belgium that gives those who are cyclists and going by bike to work. They have a special maps how to avoid the potential areas where they can be influenced by the pollution. So for the asthma patient, it's important. So that's something that again is has been provided in collaboration with the pharmaceutical company. All has already existed, and by the way, has even received the Nobel Prize 5 years ago. It's called nudge theory. Nudge theory is about how we change our behavior thanks to providing the prompts. These prompts can be as simple as the email. These prompts can be as simple as the phone call, or a message on an application. But digital transformation, of course, is about all those softwares that are developed not for us patients, but for the physicians. And that's here I see as the biggest problem talking about the harnessing the value of AI in the future. Because, of course, those solutions, those software are introduced already in the clinical pathway as the replacement of doctors or the support for doctors. I know that doctors don't like to say that we are going to replace them with AI, but sometimes they are going to be replaced in the matter when they are going to be only supervising the AI. But of course, this is already done by Association of Radiologists in the US, but they provide the exact explicitly place for AI to be introduced. The problem is that we lack this kind of studies. So there is lack of studies that validate AI. We have done with my team systematic literature review of all machine learnings published in healthcare, more than 10,000. Only 100 have been validated and against the human. So this is a big problem. How we are going to reimburse those, I don't know. But that's example. I'm running out of time, so just quickly. How we are going to find the value proposition for those solutions is to show that we are saving time. This is what I said earlier, that this is the first reimbursed AI solution, and we need to understand how we are going to measure the value of those things, and monetizing it by showing that the value comes from the savings. And other examples, patients wearing some wearables, having prompts with the nudge theory, as I said earlier, are following the prescription and the orders of the doctors, and staying more compliant, more adherent, and saving money, because the risk of rehospitalization in those patients after the knee or hip replacement were 3 times lower, because they follow the rehabilitation program they were given. So it's something that we need to understand, that the value of digital solution lies mainly in the changing of our behavior and then translates into savings. FreeSpira is one of the fantastic devices that prevent panic attacks, and actually they are selling the device to the payers in the US, not by the number of prescriptions, but the outcome, so meaning panic attacks saved. So this is something that brings us completely different mode of the understanding of the value of digital solution, where we are going to pay for, not by the how many minutes we spend on the device, but what kind of things we are going to save from the system. So outcome-based reimbursement, I think, will be the future. And with that note, I think my time has ended. So I was given 1 minute notice. So. Okay, so just one more thing then, if I may, that I would like to let you know, that this is where are the risks going this path of saving the money is to understand how the clinical practice really is established. And there are many cases we know that pharmaceutical products are used in one country, not used in another. So the different standard of care in different jurisdictions. But more importantly, we need to understand how the clinical pathway from point of the detection of disease to the cure happens. And even Apple Watch was not able to run the clinical trials effectively, so they did not meet the primary endpoint, not because this smartwatch, by the way, didn't detect arterial fibrillation on time. It did, but the problem was that the patient didn't deliver the data because they were forgotten to send the equipment back to the monitor. So I think this is so vital to understand how much we need to understand the clinical pathway and where are the bottlenecks in the system to make sure that it won't happen. And then establish some new disruptive form of treatment. So it's like bringing the innovation. It's not only about the producing the innovation, but about the adoption. So thinking about the reference point, executive or clinical champions. So something that we need to redesign the way we treat patients. It's very important to bring these new ideas and pilot them first before we go and launch a new solution. So it's not only about the understanding that how my device is fantastic and it's going to work. I'm sorry. We need to understand how it changes the clinical pathway, what happens to the patient before and after, and who is going to get some victory out of it. So what are really unmet needs, not necessarily medical. And that's something that I see as important to understand what kind of other technologies are used for patients, whether we can have some synergy effect, whether we are going to replace some of those technologies, molecules. And there are some VR tools that treat pain disorders, and the value proposition is that we are going to consume less pain medication. It's very, very different stories for the different devices. So we need to understand where the value proposition for us happens. And there are some methodologies to run the studies and adopt the methodology like this multi-phase optimization strategy to understand how we can build a new mode of the new clinical pathway, or the SMART trial, where we kind of disengage examples from the clinical pathway that are unnecessary after we introduce our innovation. So it's, again, the name of the game is not about the treatment outcomes, about the looking for the savings, trying to understand what is the clinical pathway, how we can improve it, and more importantly, engaging the patient, because now the patient has the power. So it's not doctors anymore that possess the power over the patient, but the patient has the data and they can change the way they want to be treated. And I think that's very important to understand that when we are moving away from this paternalistic healthcare system in the digital transformation to patient-centric system. And now we need to ask patient what he or she wants and incorporate that in our development of the product. So thank you very much for your attention. Now I'm done.
Thank you very much, Katarzyna. It was very interesting, actually kind of scary, but maybe actually not. I don't know if scary is a good term. It's very also not complex. I'm looking for like a challenging, but not challenging aspect, blah, blah, blah. It's so complicated vision that you brought to us, that so many aspects to be discussed and taken into consideration. So I would like to move on forward with the discussion and invite our speakers. So Kasia, please join us again. As a panelist, Katarzyna Baliga-Nicholson, please. Mikołaj Radziewicz and Jakub Chwietko, please join us for a panel session. This one you will need, and yep, that's it. Okay, First of all, I would like to ask you to introduce yourselves a bit more than I did. Which company or association or institution you represent, and what is your experience, personal and the institutional? So.
Hi, I'm Katarzyna Kolasa. I work in Sano, and I'm in charge of the area of application of medical solutions that we develop and innovation. And my background is in management. I finished my doctoral here at the Jagiellonian. So pleased to be here.
Thanks. Yes, Kasia, actually, we already know your experience, so.
Hello, Mikołaj Radziewicz, and here I am representing 10th Ping company. 10th Ping is an international consulting company which supports the life science sector in implementing mainly SAP solutions, but also the other kind of technology which are required for managing and running life science business sector.
Okay.
You?
Thank you for the invitation. My name is Jakub Chwieczka. I'm representing National Doctors Chamber and dentist as well, as we heard before. We started something like an innovation network a year ago, which I'm a managing partner. We're trying to not allow those doctors to be replaced actually by these AI solutions or medtech that we heard of, but we want to engage the doctors so they will know how to use technology actually. And use it in a good way. So thank you. And I have some background in some pharma, some Starbucks. I'm a strange doctor, actually, only by night at that point.
Yes, and also you have experience in developing innovative medtech startups, right?
Yeah, I used to work in pharma companies, in medtech companies, startups with AI, etc., etc. Value-based healthcare, but
so you combine many functions in one person.
Many hats, as usual.
Yeah,
people tend to have these days many hats. Mm-hmm. I have them as well.
Great. I'm really still impressed with your presentation, Kasia, because it shows this huge complexity of the topic, digital healthcare. And so many layers it consists. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing, one variable. So the layers, but then at the same time, as you mentioned as well, there's the speed of development is tremendous, right? Mm-hmm. And within your career, it changed dramatically, mm-hmm. And it's not stopping, right? It's not slowing down, rather mm-hmm. on contrary. And then keeping up with this pace and adjust our behaviors, customs, the way we do our jobs, the way doctors implement those solutions. Wow, it's really something totally big and complex. So as we speak, it definitely influences how we shape the businesses that implement those solutions, right? So this is what we would like to talk about today, and that's why I'm very happy to have speakers having different perspectives. So first of all, you mentioned some research that you performed with your group. There's so much data to go through, and can you tell us something more, and maybe you, Kasia, as well? Like, we have two Kasias, sorry. So how does innovation based on the research is being really implemented, and how it can be dragged into this process of creating new solutions and then validated, but that's a different topic, right?
Yeah. No, I think, thanks for the question, which is not easy one, but thank you. No, but I strongly believe that it has to be systematical change. It's not it's not based on the innovation and adoption on a hospital level or on an ambulatory care level. There requires systematic changes in the way the healthcare is organized to consume the value of this innovation, and there's something is missing. Although some countries are really on a fast track in this respect, mainly I mean the reimbursement pathway for digital solution in Germany, in France, and UK. So this is something that we need to consider very, very warmly for Poland as well. But what is really missing is the methodology. So this is what is my focus. So methodology, how to evaluate the value proposition of those solutions. And I think that that's one thing, lacking methodology, and second, lacking the pathway to move towards more collaboration. Because those digital solutions on their own, I mean, the value of them is not consumed unless they are combined with pharmaceuticals or medical devices. So it has to be built from a collaboration perspective, not on their own. And
Collaboration between
different manufacturers,
people?
yes, different companies. Okay. I mean, this is what I saw this example with Roche, Novartis, Biogen, but they are really working with startups and developing the combined technologies. So I don't think that digital therapeutics or a digital solution on their own will fly. And there are some people that think that it should be separate. I don't believe so. I think it needs to be incorporated in the clinical pathway because we as a patients are going to consume everything, and then it's important.
Kasia, can you see the cooperation in this field?
Yeah, first of all, I want to strongly agree. So this is a multi-stakeholder endeavor, and we are in a situation that Kasia is actually naming and putting, the point that this is not only about technology, and we are used to producing technology very fast. We've got methodologies, Agile is one of it. We can design processes that allow to develop technology, and then the dev valley starts, because between development and deployment, this is the problem, and we don't have methodologies and frameworks to make sure that we are applying it in a correct way, so it actually serves the purpose. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is, yes, we experimenting with approaches that we can make our technology more useful for the end users by incorporating their perspective hands-on. So if we developing a solution for cardiosurgeon, we've got cardiosurgeon working with us. So we see how they what's the problem we want to solve. What is the possibility of our solution to be deployed? Because, of course, they're using different systems and the quality of data. So if you have a heart problem, probably you will go to the hospital, you will be examined, and your heart will be x-rayed before the procedure, which is not the best image for us to deal with, because this is not 3D model. Then we need to change it to the 3D model. So here it is. You can't go and say, do MRI, because we prefer MRI than the angiography that you're doing. You can't do it. You have to sort of find a way around it. And the procedures that are in the hospitals, in the end, we need to remember that the doctors, we want to assist the doctor. So we want to make sure that this is helpful, but to make it helpful, to deploy it, and then for the clinicians to use it, we need to make it to working for their benefit, right? So this is the trouble, right? The multi-stakeholder endeavor, understanding the process and making sure that we are not adding work, but we actually delivering the value.
I would like to ask Kuba, is there this communication going on? Like between doctors, coming from the doctors and...
We wish that it would it would
still
happen.
Not there.
I mean, in Poland right now, like we see it sometimes if you have if you want to do an AI radiology, startup and you have an uncle that works in a radiology department, maybe you will get 10 doctors that will, assess your tool at that point, and maybe you will get some data, And this is what we actually are trying to achieve by doing this innovation network and also expert pool, because we are creating something which is called expert pool. So we want to have experts from different setups who will be open to assessing technology on an early stage, for example, helping or mentoring startups or innovation, because it's not so easy right now. I mean, you can get hold of people who are interested and into technology by going into associations and by talking to the doctors, for example, but many times, they don't have qualified knowledge when it comes to technology assessment at some point, and they will tell you if that's from their perspective necessary, or they think if it would be helpful, but it's not so easy. Sometimes you will get one doctor, maybe a friend of yours or a friend of a friend, but there is no structured way, which we would like to change as well as a doctor's chamber.
Are there any trainings for doctors in this manner? As simple as that?
No.
No?
No, not in the studies. When you're in the studies, you are not, trained on assessing technology, in new technologies in general. So if you will go to a clinic which is super advanced, for example, in some technology, they will of course show you what does it mean to have this technology on board and how to use this tool, but they won't kind of train you on this one. So in a postgraduate course, in a postgraduate approach, we are actually trying to do that as well, because in the doctor's chamber we have the whole department of training, basically, and we are setting more and more trainings or on innovation. And actually, Professor Kolasa had a chance as well to have her own trainings together with us.
Yeah.
We are working in an open network, so we are open to have different stakeholders coming in and giving them trainings as well, also on new technologies. So, for example, we are open for startups, we are open for companies who would like to come and train, but we wouldn't like to have a training on a specific technology, like with the pharma on specific drugs. We want to train doctors in general on new technologies. So if you have an AI tool, for example, again, in radiology, come to us, teach the doctors about the radiology and AI in general, and your company should only have some small mark that, it's not, we don't want to advertise some specific tools. We want to teach in general.
You can imagine. I also remember one more bottleneck mentioned by the Tomasz Maciejewski, the director of the Institute of Mother and Child from Warsaw. And he mentioned one more factor, time.
I thought you will say money.
No, surprisingly not. Time. The time of doctors, of practitioners.
Yeah, because the doctors would all, they would like to have this tool on board already, to be on board and just to use it. They don't want to get involved into, implementation and validation, etc., etc. They would like somebody to come, establish something like the Dr. Maciejewski. We have a MEDUP representative as well. So you can come with the MEDUP, just set it up as fast as possible, let it be one day, train everybody, and that's it. We don't want to get involved too much in that.
They have 15 minutes per patient, right? So instead of taking care of one patient, they would spend this 15 minutes minimum to get enrolled and to get familiar with a novel application, to monitor someone's health, and then explain it also to the patient, why he should use it. So then imagine, okay, initially you need to invest time and concentration instead of doing what you're trained to do, to treat the patients.
But it's also, you mentioned the Death Valley of startups, and this is kind of maybe not the Death Valley, but this is also like with the new technology. So when you introduce it, actually the time increases in something, in the end. So it will again lower down after the adoption, successful adoption.
It will in the end. About those trainings, additional ones.
I would say there's a typical topic of a change management, but it's not exactly that. Because if we are talking about some innovation, it's more to help, not exchange the doctors. So extend more the capabilities. If we are talking about the AI, it's not to replace them, as it was mentioned already, but to extend their capabilities. So having some additional tools, they can work faster and more efficiency, having more capacity as well.
And imagine change management with doctors. Change management is hard in general, but when you take doctors and you want to do change management with them, it's like 10 times harder, unfortunately.
That doesn't sound too good, to be honest, with the speed of light of changes in the digital health.
that's also why the tools should be also aligned with the preference of the key users, which are doctors right here. So it should be dedicated for the users like doctors.
You mentioned doctors as end users.
Not only doctors. I mean, meaning full life science. We are talking about the doctors. We are talking about the engineers, and also
and
patients as well.
And this brings me actually to Kasia. Sorry, I need to use surnames. Katarzyna Kolasa to you, because it brings us to this value-based healthcare, and why this to convince the end users, patients or doctors, why they should implement the new technology, and how this relates to the to this question, like how it answers the question why.
Well, very good question. And of course you can talk about efficiency, you can talk about the ratio that you deliver certain outcomes, and then you also got the cost. So the ratio of that you can check, right? But anyway, broadly speaking, we are moving from volume to value, right? And now how you define that value. Well, I mean, we've been patients ourselves. So sometimes it means that we don't feel pain. Sometimes we need to change more things in, for example, our behavior to stay healthy. And it would be great if we don't have to go to hospital, right? So there are different measures of that. But at the end, we want to create an impact that we are healthy, right? And we are going away from these models that we pay a fee for a certain service, but we want to build a system that allows to put the patient into the system that is looking after the patient holistically, right? And how we do it? Well, SANO is a Center for Computational Medicine. So we're developing solutions that are, of course, based on data. And we, of course, know that there is tons of data that is digitalized and we can use it. But there is also a ton of data that is behavioral, that we can't see and doctors can't see. It's very difficult to record without external help of, for example, wearables, right? Because patients might be at home, patients might experience certain illnesses when the doctor is not seeing it, but the symptoms are inside the body, right? So the thing is, developing the value is like, it needs to be lasting, it needs to be sustainable. But we are at the beginning of the journey, we're just defining it right now. And we're talking about innovation, and the theory, the old one, the theory of innovation, says that, yes, it can be disruptive, yes, it can happen, but you need to experiment. But listen, if we're talking about medicine, and experimentation, then you can see that, there are certain pressures that we need to, and risks that we need to encounter. So this is not like, building a car, right, and creating assembly line. We've got more at stake here, and one of it is human dignity also, and vulnerability. So this is very complex, answer to very important question that is straightforward. How can we do it? How can we make sure that we deliver value? And that's, I think, the short answer would be for me, data and validation. And then, we can discuss what type of data and what can we afford to validate and how, Kasia, maybe you can add, because actually
you want to comment?
And I would add also the security. When we are talking about the data, it's a very sensitive topic. So sometimes the regulations doesn't follow the technology. Technology is really up to speed, and the regulations are far behind.
And also, I would like to, when you mentioned the value-based healthcare and bringing up developing innovations. This brings me actually to, you know, Gen Z, Generation Z, that are very entrepreneur-like mindset, young people who are absolutely knowing, or maybe not knowing what they want, but knowing what they don't want. That's for sure. And they're very prone to experiment and to conduct changes. And also there are very high requirements. So here I would see the huge role of digital health and personalized medicine for those created by these young people. And here I would like Kasia and maybe Kuba as well to ask you, what is your experience, since Kasia, you're involved in this Start Me Up initiative? And sorry, I'm looking at the I don't want to mix the name. So I'm wondering how, because you also elaborated on the development of innovation. It's not happening in pharma. I like that one.
Yeah, indeed. So the two answers to it. One is I think that we need to understand who is the end user of the technology. That's why I started this course for the digital health startups, to tell them how the healthcare system really works. But I'm just laughing because sometimes the healthcare system, how it works, is changing. So, but nevertheless, we need to understand how the healthcare system works. From the legislative point of view, from the minds of those people that are budget holders. So I think it's very important to put that into perspective of developing the value proposition. So because we communicate differently to the kids versus elderly. So the same way we need to have a different type of messages to those who have the budget and spend it to simple technologies as well as advanced. So the trust has to be reached with the nice communication. And this is what we're trying to teach during this course, plus understanding how we develop the evidence, which we actually didn't talk so much about, but the evidence is the crucial. We talk about the evidence for pharmaceutical products, but we don't do much about the evidence generation for digital solutions. This is completely missing. And there is no way for any startups to be successful. It's another controversial quote for today, apart from replacing of doctors. I like to be controversial, sorry. So, but I believe that there's no startup that will be successful unless they produce evidence. So the evidence, I see huge difference, unfortunately, between the startups coming from Holland, from Sweden that I'm supporting versus Polish ones. The understanding of the relevance of creating evidence, publications,
What do you mean evidence?
studies, analyzing how it really works, what is the end user experience, and publish it in rigorous manner. So creating the evidence.
This is not happening.
It's not happening. I mean, if its software is, yes, please comment. If the software is developed, everybody thinks that it's going to be sold. No, we need to create the evidence, especially when you consider moving outside of Poland. I don't see any payers interested in any device unless it's published and rigorously evaluated. So I think it's very, very important.
It also relates to this validation that you mentioned.
Exactly. So that's why I build this course. Everybody is welcome. Digital Health Start Me Up. That we try to show that the value of this evidence generation. And the second thing, which I don't strongly believe that it's about the generation related, that we are more prone or less prone to adopt this innovation. Actually, the studies we did with Kasia another study, but I'm talking about the previous one that I did 2 years ago, and actually shows that was previous experience with healthcare, either negative or positive, was a driver for decision, I want to test new digital solution. So if somebody is happy with the status quo, they are not willing to accept new But if somebody is disappointed with status quo, meaning that had a bad experience with the healthcare system, and then the adoption is faster. And that's why in Poland, I believe we can have more digital solution than any other country. Think about the DIGA. DIGA in Germany is not on a market uptake trend as everybody wanted, because of the different reason, being conservative on the doctors, but as well as that the status quo is not that bad as potentially in Poland. So I think it's very important to understand that the circumstances we talk about unmet needs for digital solution, which brings us again to point one about the evidence generation. Sorry for taking so much time.
No worries.
I think I will come back to your question as well, as the panel discussion is about business and talent development, and you asked about the Gen Z. And in my opinion, or in my perspective, I wanted to be a startupper at some point, but I'm a doctor. Nobody ever taught me about business, about actually technology, etc., etc. So just because I was kind of a strange and I was lacking the knowledge out of that, I started a postgraduate course on artificial intelligence, and I started to look on myself for those, for the situation to be stimulated by those people, and actually to network as well, because one of the most important thing I think in the entrepreneurship and in becoming a startupper or getting your own business is actually to network with people, and with people with a different mindset, because if you network only with people that comes out of medical school, you will not get too far. I mean, you will get far, but you will become probably some super nice professor in, just caring about left ankle, because you are getting to be so specialized. Only by getting outside of your box, out of your comfort zone, getting to talk to technology people, to business people, you will kind of explore and expand your mindset to be more entrepreneurship. Because doctors, they don't want to be entrepreneurs. They want to become good doctors.
They're
basically
passionate about taking care of people, right?
Exactly. But to really, we kind of need to mix them up with, as mentioned again, with technology and business, to make sure that they will actually become successful in creating startups that will bring value in the end. So get outside of your comfort zone and actually go out there and network, but not with your peers and colleagues, medical colleagues, but with some other people that you will also need to understand. Because if you will put in a room the medical, the medical student or technology student and business student, they probably won't get along, at the first point, because the IT guy will talk about some different stuff. The medical guy will say, what is he talking about? I don't understand his language. Agile, Scrum, what is he talking about? I don't understand these iterations, etc., etc. But after, becoming closer together and closer, they will start to speak the same language and they will understand them. That's why, for example, in Wrocław, they started a medical school in the Polytechnica, so like a technical department in a technical school. And I'm super interested what will come out of that, because they will teach medicine, the technical school. So definitely they will have more approach and focus on data, medtech, etc., etc. So it's kind of experimental, but I'm curious to see what will come out of that in a couple of years.
But coming back to the merit, how do you see this business development of the startups based on your experience and what you're seeing? For example, what I mean is can you see that due to this, especially in the digital healthcare, do you see that it needs a special treatment, so to say, a special course of development?
Yeah, definitely. We are talking as well with some hospital stakeholders, like with mentioned Director Tomasz Maciejewski, about creating something which we call sandboxes for startups, right? We had this discussion previously as well. So, for example, you can imagine this as those hospitals or a branch of hospitals or, a group of hospitals having, for example, the open mind for the startups to come and to test their solutions on the early stage with the doctors, with the patients, etc., and doing something like a proof of concept, on site of the hospital, etc. Maybe even sharing some IP rights. Why not? To some extent. For example, if this hospital will allow you to be implemented in a hospital, will give you access to the data, will give you access to the doctors, to their mind, to their knowledge, and you will grow thanks to that, and you will have a round of financing, and you will do research, and you will be certified. Even why not share an IP, if there is a both interest in that.
Sure. And I wonder, Mikołaj, if you, from your experience and Tenpin, because it's a global company implementing, like managing a huge amount of data, right? But it also relates the data that are created actually within companies in order to manage them better. But then can you see that there's kind of changing somehow right now? Like you need, I don't know, I'm making up right now, creating special tools for managing digital health companies.
Very good question, and I would say that depends on the stage on which company is currently right now. It can be a very mature company which is already aware how to take care of the data and also the business processes, and it can be early stage like startup or mid-sized company who knows how to do their business, knows what gives them a money, but don't want to change a lot. For example, don't want to implement advanced finance processes because they don't see that's their business. Their business is producing drugs or treatments or whatever, and they're not aware that having good finance controlling, they can build a business case and save more money or whatever. So different stage give different tools. Understand that for startups, usually the main tool is Excel, where they can build a business case and calculate if they can monetize it after some time. But growing, scaling up, they need stronger and stronger platforms to run the business. And of course, there is a strongest at the end platform, but no product placement today.
No, of course not. It's rather I'm asking about. Can you see like a special milestone where companies should start to think like, oh, okay, yeah, now it's time to invest in this tool that will actually speed up, will save my time, and then will allow me to concentrate on the business development.
It's all the time that's about the business case, so how we can return of the investment, etc. So depending on the processes, the model can be different. For example, if you are a CDMO and you would like to sell your services, you can be integrated into the framework, do it faster, do it more efficient, and be concurrent on the market. Without having the tools, the integration, it can be harder. Having the tools, also getting into some network, you are more recognized and you are open for the other markets. So you're more competitive.
But here, and this is what why I invited Mikołaj, because it's very often that we are talking about the healthcare data, right, from the smartwatches and so on. But your company is actually dealing with different kind of data. And this, I think it's also worth mentioning that it's not only health, but it correlates to and ends up in better performance of healthcare companies.
Yes, but still sometimes it's connected with the patient. So if there is a patient-centric process like cell and gene therapy, there are special products which can support that end to end and which can speed up the process and make it more efficient. So even save more lives a year or something like that.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. I absolutely agree that this is very important to be efficient and speed up the process. But let's don't forget that we are talking about very specific technology. It's not hammer, right? It's smart, it's intelligent. That's the promise. And with this, we need to remember about explainability and transparency of that technology. So, we're talking about business development. And at Sano, we are fortunate to have this opportunity to see how clinicians perceive the technology. And sometimes when we start talking, yes, they want to have a solution that is just a click and does the job perfectly. But then the second thing is, hold on, how is it possible to come up with this answer, right? So we need to unlock the black box to make sure that we are actually putting on the market and to the practice things that we can also understand from the human perspective, so putting human in a loop, right? So we've got the approach that we want to think about explainability and transparency of technology from the engineering point of view. So we're looking at the algorithm, we're looking at the neural networks, we want to know how the decision's been made, that's one thing. But also, we are interested into providing the point that then the patient is seeing, okay, this is what's gonna happen if I take that pill, right? So you've got certain causality explained to the patient and you giving the opportunity of choice. So you making the choices to, okay, either do something or not, but then you understand how is the advice generated, what's the impact of it, right? But then at the end, you are empowered to make the choice. So this is not very, very easy to also talk about just developing technology, right? So this is not only about technology, this is how we can embed it in a system and how can we allow the users to understand it. So in the end, we're not blaming the technology, but we are taking responsibility for the solutions that we develop, because it's not technology, it's the people and the data that, of course, comes with the bias, right? So we put the biased data, we've got the biased answer, but it's not technology. It's the system that we develop as humans.
Just as Kasia mentioned during her presentation, right?
Yeah,
Changing
exactly.
habits, and actually we are changing.
Yeah, this is digital revolution. We are touching things that
It's social
are
revolution.
yeah, well, yes, but this is new, right? And if we think about it as tools that we understand and know, well, this is, I think, the wrong approach. If we try to model the adoption of modern technologies as we do with drugs, new discovery of drugs, that's also, I think, that's not the path that we should go. Because, you go through 6 years process validation. After 6 years, the technology is so fast, it's obsolete. What you were trying to validate is like, no, this is, retro. So, yes, we have to remember that we're talking about very specific. We call it intelligent for the lack of the better word, but it is quite.
And that's why
beautiful.
we need social sciences here in this room as well, like representatives, like Kuba mentioned, that we have to have in one room. We need to mingle with people from different sectors or fields. Yeah.
I will challenge a little.
Sorry?
I will challenge a little, because that sounds
Bring it
like a doctor's explanation. At the end, we can think that goal is obvious. The consumer just want to be healthy and in good condition at the end. And some of the people may say, I don't care how you're doing that. Just give me a way
give me a pill.
how to be all the time healthy, etc. What you said is more, I would say, human factor. So explain that, eat fruits, go for running, and then you'll be healthy, something like that. But maybe one day there will be a step forward where we will be not asking for that. Just taking the...
But it's happening according to Kasia's presentation in Singapore, right?
And I would say as well that we really need a big dose of education for everybody around that. Explainability, definitely. It's, doctors are evidence-based driven. So, they are taught always to make decisions on evidence-based and on algorithms, let's say, but not algorithms like AI, but on the pathways of algorithms. In every book, medical book, you have plenty of them. So it needs as well for them to be educated on how to use those new tools and devices in the end, and patients as well, because like we talked about DIGA before, we see this as a success from Poland, but from their perspective, it's not such a big success in the end. And Kasia already mentioned herself that only 10 algorithms are reimbursed, all over the world, etc. DIGA is also not so highly uptaken because of lack of education that they had. So they prepared everything on a regulatory basis, on a payment basis, payment models, etc., etc. But they didn't take care really like a good and deep care about the education. At least this is how, from our perspective, how we observe and this is why it never, took off as they would like to, and it will take time to actually, for the DIGA to teach, people, patients, doctors, how to actually use those tools. Because if you have a tool, even if it's perfect, but you don't know about that, you won't just use it.
It's useless, right? Yeah. I remember this was also raised by above mentioned Director Maciejewski, that if a technology is not used, it's empty, right? That the app doesn't have anything to chew, so to say. So it's useless. All right. I would like to thank. We could keep on discussion like that for a long time, but we need to give the floor to other presenters. And I would like to thank you very, very much for your contribution and your insights. And thank you once more, Katarzyna, for your keynote speech and sharing your experience. Thank you. Let's give an applause. Okay, it's my great pleasure right now to welcome to the stage the representative of researchpreneurs, Aleftina Avgarova, if she's here.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, I'm sorry. And Aleftina will present the speech entitled Revolutionizing R&D, Empowering Freelance R&D Experts. Please.
Good day, everyone. I hope the connection is well, and I hope we can also put the slides in a bit.
It works.
Okay, amazing. We have a small delay, but it's going to work. Thank you so much to the panelists for this inspiring discussion. Collaboration is the game, and I'm absolutely there with you. And if we can put, I think we already put the presentation, so this is why I see myself double. Great. Thanks a lot for having me online today. And before we start, I would like just to share that I'm a researcher turned entrepreneur with over 17 more years of experience. And for the last year, my team and I, we have building researchpreneurs. And today, basically, I'm going also to share that we're going to release the platform in January 2024. So keep your eyes open. And what do we do? So at the Researchpreneurs, we create the future of work for applied researchers by offering our collaboration platform to co-create innovations with small and medium enterprises. What do we mean by small and medium enterprises? Are the companies with less than 500 employees. If we can click next, why do we actually focus on empowering researchers by freelancing with us? Is because there are 8.8 researchers in this world, and actually about 3.1 million researchers from applied sciences. And those researchers are quite often looking for the new opportunities to collaborate, to co-create innovations together, and they also have a limited networking opportunities. The same exactly what our panelists were sharing. At the same time, also researchers have fixed earnings and they wouldn't mind to go and earn extra money. At the same time, they have uncertainties. Is this project really good for me? Is this project going to be creating the impact that I can collaborate and that this project can be trusted? Click. And what we also have, that the businesses are also looking for the talents. Click, though business and researchers are not that well connected, and businesses would like to onboard specialized knowledge and skills which researchers would provide. And actually, when panelists were sharing about that we need to increase transparency, that we also need to increase the explainability, I have the answer for you. This is exactly researchers who can create the transparency, who can enable the knowledge transfer, who can enable the implementation of the technology for businesses. And businesses also quite often look for innovation landscape, how it's changing, and also what is going to happen on regulations and trends. So if we're talking about why we do this, so this is exactly the existing problems. And if we click on the next slide, so we can say that we have a solution. So we receive the request from businesses. And using our AI-powered algorithm, we match these requests from businesses with R&D experts who actually click researchers from all disciplines. And we invite researchers from all disciplines, including social sciences, including engineering, economics, environmental sciences, and so on, join us, because you can become also a freelance researcher and you can collaborate with businesses. And by collaborating with businesses, you can create together and contribute to technological solutions. And besides that, we work not just with all businesses. We are being very selective, and we work specifically with businesses who are focusing on sustainability technologies that positive social impact can be created together, and our researchers will be also motivated to contribute and share and transfer their knowledge. Please click. There will be this positive social impact, and now we can click to the next one. And exactly, thanks. Exactly, why should you consider, if you're a researcher in the audience today, or you have friends who are researchers, why should they also consider joining Researchpreneurs, the platform for collaboration with businesses? Because we take care of all legalities. So basically, NDAs are being signed, international IP properties, intellectual property rights are being also assigned, and also all the contracts are being taken care. So also they don't need to think if this project is really suitable or not, because we verify business tasks that it's really aligns with the research interest, and of course contributes to the business development. So by setting the clear goals, also they can see the budget, so the full transparency comes into the action. And then it means, please click, that researchers can increase their income. They also can boost network and boost their reputation by working outside academia with, for example, startups, Series A+, or companies which are exactly small and medium enterprises, and have a flexible way of collaborating in the projects. Please click. And this is exactly how we empower researchers. Click. Here you can see how exactly our platform looks like on the tasks. So researchers can see right away what skills are required, the duration of the project, and how much money they would be earning, and of course, like requirements on the project location, the skills, for example, if the project is in Africa and researcher is based across the globe, but still working in African projects, they can also be eligible for this task. So we're being very specific for our algorithm to match as specific as possible. So how does it work? So we are going to say that it's first, please register as a freelance R&D expert on our platform. Click. Then you can accept R&D task. So you can click on Get Task. Please next. Then you can exactly collaborate together with businesses on our platform as well, provide deliverables and get paid. And then you will see how exactly what kind of impact you have been creating by issuing us the certificates and making the meaningful changes, transferring your knowledge into the business development. So what we are inviting all R&D experts, researchers, join our platform. And also, if there are businesses in the audience today, of course, we offer lots of benefits to the businesses too. Today, I was focusing mostly on researchers because it's a conference mostly still with the focus on researchers, as I could understand from the beginning, though I see we also have lots of business. So for business, there are opportunities exactly to reduce R&D costs, to be ahead of the competition and get the product development faster. So this is why I invite also you, if you're a business, to join as a client. And of course, we're open for investment opportunities as well. Feel free to contact us. And thanks a lot for the opportunity to pitch today.
Thank you very much for being with us online, unfortunately. I hope that the message will get through also to researchers. And now I would like to welcome Łukasz Blacha from Krakowski Park Technologiczny to give a presentation about Polish investment zones as a tool for the development of enterprises. You can use one of those.
1, 2, 3. Hello, my name is Łukasz Blacha. You know, it's hard to be in Kraków Technology Park inside this building and not to hear about the main incentive in Poland in terms of new investment processes. We are kind of special economic zone, we can call it that way, and we are split between the technology park, which is in our name, and the special economic zone, which was, you know, the main incentive until 2018 when the law in Poland changed. So this is what I do on a daily basis. I help companies to grow faster. It's quite simple. My job is really, really easy. Every day we are, as you know, probably a state treasury company with some shares from Małopolska regional authorities and the best science university in Poland, AGH. We cooperate with dozens of companies on a different level of their development. Let's say investors in special economic zone, but also a lot of startups, alumni, that are cooperating here inside the Kraków Technology Park. Some hackathons, trainings, events that we can provide yearly here inside in this building, and some companies that are right now here in this building. Around 800 people works every day here. I would like to show you something that I'm really proud of, the Striker company, which is here on the ground floor with some people working here, and their biggest worldwide investment in Skawina, which will be opened, I guess, in December. So this is also a part of my job, to bring the companies like Striker or to cooperate with startups like Finder and bring them here to the region. This is the full range of support when we are talking about the Kraków Technology Park. The expansion part is my part. This is what I do every day, but my colleagues, there was Małgosia, but she went somewhere. They are, of course, can offer you a lot of offer and a lot of advisory, coaching, networking, and this building, also the modern building with its rich offer. As a special economic zone operator, we have more than 25 years with more than 500 permits to operate in the zone. And this is the main incentive and benefit that you can receive when you would choose to invest in Poland, and especially in Małopolska region and in the city of Kraków, that we believe is a great place to locate life sciences and industry and medtech industry here in the region. Okay, I will skip some data because you are already here in Kraków, but this is quite interesting slide. This is what the foreign companies would like to hear about the Kraków and region itself. 8 million people within 100 kilometers radius. So this is the main incentive and main offer that we are asking. You know, when someone comes here to Kraków for the first time, it's not about the land and real estate. It's about the people and qualified staff that we can offer here inside. Of course, we have some challenges between Silesia and Małopolska region, so we are trying to attract more investors here to the region, also showing some data like internal migration, let's say. Of course, education. I have only 10 minutes, so I will skip most of those slides. Our universities and colleges in the region, you know, this is the really, really important factor to bring new investments here. and some, of course, selected categories of university studies, graduates, ICT graduates, especially also in life sciences. High English proficiency country, our 16th place. This is quite important in terms of new investments, so information, and yeah, this is what I guess is really important. It doesn't matter what kind of sector you are representing. I would like to emphasize that quality, not cost. This is what brings new investments to region itself, Małopolska, but also to whole Poland. This is the different situation that it used to be 20 years ago. This is what every investor is looking for. High quality, not costs. This is why we are Europe's #1 location for tech and business services, and soon life sciences. Hope so. Yeah, so modern offices is our leading sectors, great place to live with some tourists, and the main incentive that we can offer to new companies that are coming here to Poland is Polish Investment Zone program. And since 2018, the tax exemption is available across the entire territory of Poland. This is a really important factor. Also, we as a Kraków Technology Park operate in Małopolska region with one Świętokrzyskie, small part of Świętokrzyskie in Jędrzejów. So there is a map of public state aid in whole Poland, but our 40% of maximum public aid that we can offer to large companies is quite competitive when we are talking about Silesia or Lower Silesia regions. We are competing almost every day. There are 13 same companies like ours that can offer you the Polish Investment Zone program, and some numbers from this year: 47 investments here in the region. Some of them, let's say, from medtech. We need to analyze it more because some companies are offering a wide range, of offer and their products. So, of course, there are situations like pandemic times or war in Ukraine that change our perspective when we talk about this incentive and some investment. This is why we have only 8 foreign direct investments here in the region. But the program change and help a lot for Polish SMEs. This is really important. It's also helping to change, our economic development here in Małopolska. Some examples of investments, most of them are well known. The Striker, this is, I would like to also emphasize, this is what I'm personally really proud of. Last year I visited few international conferences in the States, and we also spoke about this Polish investment, and I'm really happy that they finally choose Kraków as their biggest megasite worldwide. Our program is devoted to traditional industries mostly, but also for some companies from the services sector. There are some, of course, rules and the ways to invest and use this tax incentive, from setting up a new facility, through production capacity increase, etc., etc. Of course, we can help every company to choose the right path of their development, and these are the levels of the public aid. So the incentive that we can offer to them, from 30% for large enterprises up to 60% for small enterprises. There will be some example of that kind of support. So if you will invest $26 million to set up a new facility in the city of Kraków, and you are a large company, you will receive a maximum state aid 30%. So the amount of the income tax exemption for your company will be just above $10 million. And it works the same if you are a medium size or micro or small. And we are the ones, to can help. Of course, the farther you go from the city of Kraków, the minimum investment cost will be a little bit lower. But I guess in this branch, the city of Kraków is the center point for the investment. What's also important, you will receive a 12 years to use this tax incentive. And I mentioned already, those minimum ways to invest, but we have also some parts of Małopolska region that need some extra intervention. So the minimum investment cost is really, really low. over there. Of course, we also care about some extra quality to bring it to the region, so every investor needs to bring something more, like R&D activity or green energy, etc., some robotization, automation of processes, creating high-quality jobs, which is also really important. And I need to tell you that this program really works. There will be some big numbers on my last slide. So last 5 years brought to Małopolska region more than $2 billion of direct investments. It created only 4,500 jobs, only because this is not the major factor to invest here. You can create only one job and it will be fine in this program, but 247 support decisions, which means 247 direct investments in Małopolska region. Of course, we could talk a lot about it, and this is why I'm also here. And we are with my whole team at the 3rd floor here in Kraków Technology Park. So thank you, and looking forward to cooperate with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Please reach out to our speaker. And right now, I would like to thank you for your attendance. You kept very long so thank you very much. Now I think it's time for well-deserved coffee or tea, and let's continue and during following sessions. Thank you very much.
Oh, can you hear me? Yes, I guess so. We are going to start our next session, which is truly dedicated to talent development. My name is Karolina. I am a founder of ExecMind, which is a headhunting boutique company based in Kraków in LifeScience Park. And we've been collaborating with biotech industry since 2015. We are actually the experts in terms of scientific and C-level recruitment, mainly for biotech industry. And today, I have a pleasure to introduce to our audience my great guest, Piotr Pieruk. Hi, Piotr. How are you? Can you hear us? Yes. Okay, so Piotr, let me introduce you. to our audience because you wear different hats, especially at the moment. So you're an executive advisor, board member with extensive experience in large pharma and biotech companies as well. And you're a trained scientist by education, PhD degree in biomedical sciences and immunology from Rutgers University. And you also has held many roles of increasing responsibility at global pharma companies, including Takeda, Novartis, Pfizer, Bristol, Myers Squibb, and Johnson & Johnson. And your expertise range from target discovery to late-stage development across the life cycle of biologics and cell therapy, which actually are very hot topic at the moment in terms of new therapeutics. So how is the life in Boston? Is it snowing there?
It is beautiful, sunny, but chilly.
Okay, great. So Piotr, is there anything more that I could say about your background?
No, thank you for that kind introduction. And I can share more during the fire chat about my experiences and how I can share and help others as well based on my experience.
Right. So you spent in Boston most of your professional life. So what factors actually led you to choose this city for your living and working?
Thank you for the question. And when I reflect back, it's been 10 years now since I moved to Boston. And it's been a great experience living here and working. Maybe two factors in simple answer that brought me here was the European feel of the city. It reminds me of Europe and Poland with the architecture, but it has gone through tremendous change recently and growth, which contains part of that ecosystem and the scientific component. Maybe a longer story that I can share, which maybe impacts where clusters like Kraków might be heading. When I first ended up in the United States, I ended up living outside of New York City, in an area of New Jersey, where in the 90s, majority of pharmaceuticals were approved. Out of almost 80% of all drugs that were approved, companies had headquarters or sites in New Jersey. And that's what inspired me to get into science. My high school professor was a chemistry, my high school chemistry teacher was a medicinal chemist at Merck. One of my professors in undergraduate school developed the first drug-eluting stent at Johnson & Johnson. And during my graduate PhD work, I had the pleasure of having an instructor who worked at Roche as a global project leader. And I'm sharing this because the importance of the ecosystem and individuals in that ecosystem and how they impact the development and career trajectories of individuals. And what brought me to Boston was the new ecosystem that was being built here, which started in the 80s and continued and continues, is where the biotherapeutics and biopharma began with companies like Biogen and Genzyme and Genetics Institute. And I've moved here 10 years ago, right at the semi-early stages of growth, but in the last 10 years, the growth is just exponential. It's tough to even recognize Cambridge as a city or town around Kendall Square. So what brought me here is the science. It's a great place to live, study as well, and a great place to work.
So this brought me to an idea that it would be great to have this vibrant environment also in Kraków, but we will get back to this later. So if you could just think about the milestones that did you achieve that help you to move towards your desired direction in life. So if you could name 3 things that you consider the most helpful, especially at the beginning of your career. We have some of young people here.
So it's important to have a desired direction in life. I progressed forward in my career of enjoying the stages of each of the times. And when I reflect back, the biggest decisions were going to graduate school and completing my doctorate degree, which at the time was a new idea. However, the intellectual freedom and the education and the doors that doctorate opened for me really helped me throughout my career. I would say a second milestone was obtaining early on in my career the training in industry, because I lived in New Jersey. At the time, there was a tremendous access to companies, and I was able to complete a internship early on and a postdoc in industry. So that was the biggest milestone for me, transitioning early on from academia to industry, where I've learned and contributed to pharmaceutical R&D. Subsequently, the next biggest milestone was a decision of moving away from bench scientists or doing work on the bench into more of a leadership strategic direction, which at the time wasn't easy, but in the hindsight, when I look back, whenever you make difficult decisions and you move from something that you know into something that's new but exciting, creates opportunities for growth.
Mm-hmm. That sounds exciting. So Boston is renowned for its vibrant biotech, big pharma environment, numerous startups and established companies as well. So you have a big concentration of talent, funding, other resources like infrastructure. And this also provides opportunities for collaboration and networking and innovation as well. So what I am interested here is to learn more about your perspective on strategies. How did you, as an executive leadership member, attracted top scientists from the market, where you had a very competitive environment, lots of different companies that were actually fighting for the same people in the same time. So have you seen any changes in the last couple of years in the area of attracting top scientists to the companies?
Oh, thank you for the question. It's an important one for a leader and the individuals who build teams and organizations. Maybe one aspect, attracting talent is not always the most difficult part of it. For example, working for big companies that I worked for, there's always talent available that's interested in joining these big companies and also being in Cambridge area. I would say components of identifying the right talent and then retaining that talent is the most challenging or difficult part of it. The way I approach it, and I had the privilege of being both educated in an area that was in high demand in immunology, as well as working in Cambridge area for big companies, and I've used that experience, knowledge, and way of working on identifying individuals with the right foundational knowledge, as well as mindset for growth. The biggest complexity for me was during building a team when I was at Takeda of over 20 highly specialized individuals in time of 2 years to deliver a pipeline of cell therapies for a company. At a time where everyone else in Cambridge was hiring the same talent and also starting companies in this space. The way I approached it is, as I described, as identified individuals with the right mindset and foundational experience. And I've worked with individuals over the 2 years that I was there to help them grow and realize their highest potential, but also hire individuals with complementary skill set to those teams. So individuals would learn from each other, contribute to projects, and also grow with the companies. And it worked. I have team members who are still with the companies or have grown externally and have positions in other startups or large pharma companies. So developing the talent, because when you invest in individuals' growth, it helps them realize their highest potential, have a fulfilling career, but also have a level of commitment to stay with the company. Because in Cambridge, Boston area, it's very easy for someone to get a new job without even changing a building or changing a parking garage, as there are companies at different floors of the same buildings. So what keeps individuals within a company is their commitment of being a team, well-functioning team that's highly collaborative. And I build my teams on trust, that we trust each other on delivering the best science to treat diseases for patients. And through this, I have done it multiple times since at other companies. What's unique now, maybe switching a little bit where we are. So maybe I already, there's 3 stages that I've been in Cambridge area over the last decade. The first stage, there was not enough talent, I would say, 10 years ago. Not enough talent, there was enough scientific talent, but there wasn't enough talent with drug development experience. So we had to invest in either bringing talent that has worked in drug development previously, or team members into those teams to, or educate team members in drug R&D. In the middle stage I described was that stage that there was a competition, tremendous competition for that developed talent. And now in the latest stages that we are right now, we're going through reduction. Many companies are reducing their headcount or not counting, and there's quite a bit of talent out there that has great skills and experience and wants to work, and what it creates an opportunity for the next wave of growth going forward. So there's different stages of the cycles that we're going through in talent development. But what's most important in my experience is building a teams, highly collaborative teams with individuals with not only the right scientific but also personality and way of working to have that high performing team.
Mm-hmm. So do you see any drawbacks when it comes to building teams in the Boston area? You mentioned the reduction. A lot of biotech or big pharma companies are doing this on a bigger scale right now, but I think this is some kind of cycle. Every, let's say, 7 or 8, 10 years, we are doing the same, we are feeling the same, experiencing the same, right? So maybe it's not, let's say, a big thing right now, but do you consider this as one of, let's say, disadvantages of being in such environment?
So I would say this is the advantage of being in Cambridge area because the cycles are shorter in Cambridge. The reduction of headcounts happens later in the cycle, as well as the new investment cycle begins earlier into that innovative space. So I would say that's the advantage of being in Cambridge area because there is, these cycles are reduced and the new science starts to the innovation. But maybe to answer your question, Karolina, on the challenges, I mean, few aspects. The cost of living and hiring talent is expensive in these areas, and also renting space. So this adds up to the operating cost of the companies, and also the drain of talent that individuals can fairly quickly change jobs, which I mentioned previously. So these 2 aspects, I would say, are challenges in working in such a vibrant ecosystem, but I would say maybe not as much as challenges as just an aspect of that ecosystem, which can be mitigated or addressed through some examples I shared previously, like building trust within the teams and commitment of teams to deliver on the drug treatments that we're working on.
So Do you think that some strategies that you mentioned about talent development or talent attraction, could we implement this in Poland or Central Europe? Do you think that we are mature enough to do this, or we need to work more something on it? And what would it be?
That's an important question. There's definitely a lot to learn from ecosystems like Cambridge. I don't think that's ever too early. However, there needs to be some level of traction or commitment to building these ecosystems. And one example I can share, and maybe what also brought me to Boston that I've learned early on, was that the government of Massachusetts invested $10 billion into seeding the biotech startup when I came around 10 years ago, which brought all of the other investors and VCs into that vibrant ecosystem. So investment is critical. It's an investment in building that ecosystem. And but it's never too early to invest in education and building entrepreneurial spirit, because we need a pool of talent and expertise, or scientific expertise coming through into the startup and pharma company space, but also individuals with a mindset of innovative and entrepreneurial way of working. And not everyone and not every areas of the world have such innovative spirit of creating something new to treat diseases or look at the solve difficult problems with novel approaches. I would say it's never too early. Many of the examples I've shared, financing or funding is always key. Education is key. But also creating organizations or groups like this one or forums that bring like-minded individuals to the same space. And that creates and seeds the innovation, partnerships, collaborations. One aspect that worked very well, and I continue this throughout my career, is establishing a mentoring coaching networks where more experienced individuals from your professional cycles, organizations, or companies are mentoring younger talent to help them navigate through the stages of their career going forward. So I would say many of the strategies can be implemented. It's never too early. It depends on the scale, and the scale depends on the timing of that investment.
Thanks for sharing this. So I would like to also touch a topic related to AI. You've worked in many innovative companies, starting from the big names. And your expertise is in cell and gene therapy. So have you ever used AI in drug discovery, drug development area, early clinical? So could you tell something more about how the companies have you been worked with used AI, if any?
Yes, I've had an opportunity to work very early on with analysis of single cell from Kymriah, which was the first approved cell therapy product on the market about 7 years ago. And we've used machine learning approaches to identify biomarker features of the cell product associated with the better patient outcomes. AI in different instances has been in use in drug development and discovery, from modeling of small molecules and the binding pockets. Very early on, we had a company here in Cambridge established called Merrimack that used very early on computer modeling. We use protein folding algorithms. We use predictive algorithms. We use machine learning. We are, I would say, at the early stages of implementation, but there is a lot of opportunity and application for AI, which already is implemented in some aspects, but it will just grow and make our jobs easier, and we'll be more efficient as scientists in the work that we do.
We have also great scientists here on the audience. So I would like to focus right now on your candidate perspective, if I can say that. So what practices European, Poland-based scientists could implement to have a fulfilling career. So what best examples you could share with us to inspire creativity and smart work?
I think pursuing your passion is most important. And maybe from my experience, I wouldn't be where I am if I wouldn't be passionate and enjoy every stage of the work I've done and doing my best. So being passionate, finding the right place for your talents to contribute to the companies or technologies is important. Sometimes we need to take a stepping stone or a job or opportunity in a company just to get started and learn and find where our talents are best applied. In honesty, when I was starting in industry, I just opened the door into something tremendously big and I didn't know where I was heading. However, thanks to the early experiences I had in industry, I've identified a space for myself where both my talent and expertise was needed by the company and where I was contributing to the company as well, and I enjoy doing. So being passionate about what you're working on. Second one, always going the extra mile, pushing yourself to grow, because as scientists, and that's also what I've realized early on in my career, there's tremendous amount of knowledge and work to be done. It's impossible to do everything. However, and so staying focused on your key area of expertise, however, adding that extra component to it, which helps you to grow and you push yourself based on your own talent, capabilities, and interest, which keeps you engaged as well, but also creates a skills which can be marketed and seen after by employers.
Cell and gene therapy is your place?
I would say yes, more of a broader immunology. However, I've followed the need of the cell and gene therapy space over the last 10 years to contribute. My broader experience is in immunology, immuno-oncology. I work on checkpoint inhibitors early on at Bristol Myers Squibb. Also in precision medicine and diagnostics. I do have a component of the responsibility and experience in addition to cell therapies.
Mm-hmm. So if we could just do some remarks also on cell and gene therapy market and its perspective. You are an expert in that area, so there are a lot of let's say things right now which are going on the market, new therapeutics, or let's say new big deals. So do you think as a real that this could be a new era of novel therapeutics in terms of cell and gene therapy, because it's very complicated therapeutic field. So if you could just comment this.
Simple answer, yes, but it's complicated. And as an immunologist, it's part of my expertise and knowledge of understanding immune cells, not only T cells, but also other cell subsets that are being used, like NK cells, gamma delta T cells, iPSC cells, even B cells that are being used in therapies. It is complicated. However, from immunology perspective, it is a cell biology. I would say the most complicating, so we're just learning how to harness these cells. And the reality is sometimes cell therapies are one modality or approach, but sometimes we can use biologics or small molecules to modulate that desired cell type in patients in vivo. So I would say it's a combination of factors. However, the component of the immunology is the big aspect of the future wave, which cell therapies are part of.
For sharing this. So we're getting to the end of our chat. So if you could just give the most powerful message to the audience as a takeaway for today. So what would it be?
I would say persevere. Simple. Because what we do in science is not easy. There are ups and downs. However, there's a lot that we can gain and contribute to the society and then health of individuals around us, our families, and our health. So persevering in bringing these, developing the therapies, technologies for the benefit of humanity, and enjoying the process. Also, it's easy to set goals and think big of long term of 3, 5, 10 years ahead. However, it's easy to get lost in that big dream, a big goal. What's important is to enjoy the stage that you're in and do your best.
Thank you so much. And Piotr, it was great pleasure to have you here. And I hope that one day we will approach you back to Poland. So thank you so much.
I can come and visit. And
maybe we could, create like a Boston-style ecosystem here in Poland. We have a couple of presenters following this session, so we keep our fingers crossed. So thank you so much, Piotr, and big applause for our guest. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. So now it's time for our presenters. It's the second phase of the presentation for business and talent development session. So I would like to ask Maciej Czernik from Triloka. Maciej will speak about SME Fund.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very glad that I have a chance to tell you a few words about this SME fund. My name is Maciej Czernik. I'm a Polish and European patent attorney. And in my very short presentation, I would like to just show two things. One, I would like to share the broad perspective of patenting process, because some of you may be used to patenting and IP protection, but just broad perspective. And then I would like to present how this SME fund could be used to foster or to lower the risk in further stages of patenting process. Even today in the morning, so in the morning sessions, almost each presentation shows that there are some components, some elements of IP protection. And okay. And in a broad perspective, so the patenting seems to be for most people that it is a very complicated process, and that it is a very expensive process. And it is true, because if you look at the patenting lifetime, so the first filing is more or less a simple step. It can be done nationally, filing a national patent. It can be you can file European patent, international patent, but it is the first step of the process. It is a very important step, because you cannot change much in the further steps of the process. So it is very crucial to file the first patent application and to file it correctly, to have feedback on this application, to have some assessment, external assessment, if the patent claims and scope of patent protection you'd like to get, if it is correct or not, or it is likely to be patent to be issued or not. What are the risks related to this process? Because after this first step, you can go directly to more than almost 180 countries. It is you can based on the priority from the first patent application go abroad, but it is less likely because it is very expensive. Other way, going outside Poland, yes, because if you file first patent application in Poland, so you will have protection and patent only in Poland. So, but thinking about developing business, you would like to go farther to also some other countries. You can file international patent application. It can give you protection in almost 160 countries. You can file, for instance, European patent application. This application can give you protection in more than 40 countries, finally. So the whole process is a little bit complicated. You need to have some guidance by the patent attorney or some specialists. And it is also pretty expensive in terms of some official cost of patenting. So this first phase here, if you file Polish patent application, is pretty cheap. Each step further, it comes to the more and more expensive, even up to 30,000 euro, yes, if you want to go to regional phase. So how to avoid, and you never know. So if you do some bad patents, if you start with some problems, you will go to these further steps, to the international application phase and then to the regional phase of the application with this problem. So how you could reduce losses of money risk, yes? Of course, you could do some prior art search. So you can check in books or in the database, in the patent bases, or you can check whether what is the state of the art, and you should do it. But the state of the art, it is very broad material, and you can spend hours or days looking into it. There is some alternative, and I would like to enhance you to go in that direction. So you could file exploratory patent application. It is something what I just invented this word, so this phrase. And this exploratory patent application, you can file, yes, to the Polish Patent Office. You can file to the WIPO, so it is in an international procedure, but you can also file into European Patent Office. And what are the differences? So in each of these offices, you can get pretty short, in the first 6 months, or in the Polish Patent Office, or 6 or 9 months, you can get a report and opinion about your invention. So you can draft patent application and ask the office to give you preliminary opinion on patentability of your invention. And I would like you to recommend to use the European Patent Office to do that, because the Polish Patent Office, of course, you could file this Polish patent application, but experts from the Polish Patent Office they don't have a big experience in terms of dealing with the big companies, because all big companies and universities goes to the European Patent Office and then validate patent in Poland. And now it is possible to finance 75% of filing of this European patent application from SME funds. So if you have small or medium enterprise, you can get very easily. It takes you less than 2 weeks to the decision. So, and we help to get this money for financing of the official cost of European patent application. So you can get in these 2 weeks you can get a voucher for 1,500 euro, and it can cover up to 75% of European patent application. of the official cost. So if such filing costs, official costs are about 1,500 euro. So you pay only less than 400 euro for this exploratory patent application. And in this 6-month period, you get information, feedback from the European Patent Office. What are the obstacles or what are the chances to get the European patent? And having this knowledge, you can decide if you want to go further, if you want to file international patent application. So it is also an asset of your company. It makes your company more valuable. Actually, it is not known, this mechanism, because it used to be that only trademark applications were financed from this SME fund. We help to get this 1,500 euro. So we need only 2 documents to file the application. In 2 weeks, we have a response. And of course, we can help you to get this money. What is the few steps? Okay, so I'm going not maybe, so if someone is interested, so we will guide you through this whole process. But the most important thing is that the call for 2023, so for this year, ends in a few days. So until 8 December, so this call for vouchers is open until 8 December. So if you have an idea, you would like to file European patent application, you can get this funding, but you need to apply before or on 8 December. Next year, this fund will be still available. So if you don't do it now, you can file the application next year. We will be happy to assist you, to help you. So here, I'm here on this conference. My colleague Katarzyna is also there. So if you have any question, we'll be ready to answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you very much. It was really interesting. So if you want to fill out the patent, so feel free to reach out, Maciej.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So I would like to ask or invite to the stage my colleague from the company, Michał. Michał will tell you more about biotech vibes. Yeah.
Hello. Hi, name is Michał Gąbek. As Karolina said, I work for ExecMind, which I'll maybe touch on a bit later. But I'm going to be, over the next few minutes, I'm going to be talking about biotech vibes. So a niche job board dedicated to life sciences industry, a solution that is easy to use, intuitive, affordable, so you can find the perfect person for your team without breaking the bank. Okay, so let me for the start tell you a bit more about the motivation and the context for preparing this this venture. So at ExecMind, we are a consultancy company that is dedicated to recruitment of top-level scientists and executives. So we offer our services in C-level and senior leadership roles, recruitment for those roles, as well for business development roles, for scientific talent acquisition. And we also offer the business and organizational consulting for our clients, also reports and advice on compensation and benefits. So this is what started our idea, because the methodology we use, we are a company that we work 100% on direct search methodology, which is really precise and allows us to target people on the market who have very specific profiles, very specific skill sets, experiences, knowledge, and background. But we work on every assignment. Every assignment is different, so we work with our clients to find very specific people. However, in our work, very often we talk to scientists who are actively looking for jobs, and as well we talk with our clients and we speak about roles that, in our opinion, are easier to fill, that are possible to fill only using a job board. So this is where we saw a gap in the market, and that marketplace, that platform for these companies and for these people to meet halfway, let's say. So let me break it down shortly for you. So again, first of all, this is something that has been drafted by experts. We are experts in the recruitment for life science industry, and we feel that creating a tool that's so specific, this needs to be prepared by people who know the specificities of the industry inside out. So we drafted a set of industry-specific categories, something which we learned about, and we drafted this specifically for this industry. We also offer, using our extensive network, which we built over the years, employer branding activities, which help you reach out to the biggest talent pool possible for this industry. Let's go. Yeah, very important for every, I think, every employer that's putting out their ads are the analytics of who actually gets to see your job offers. So those are the stats we've put together from our side. So what we can tell you is that approximately 90% of people who visit Biotech Vibes are from the industry. 65% of that is biotech or pharma industry. So we see that there's this side of interest, because for many companies, candidates who have industrial experience are of interest and are actually a bit of a priority. And when it comes to the seniority, we see that more than 50% are entry level or senior specialists or managers. So these are these kind of people who are actually looking for a niche place where they can look for jobs. Also, when it comes to some market knowledge, we are putting these knowledge bites, let's call it that way, on our website for you to see and for you to learn something more. Those are dedicated both for candidates and for the employers. And also, maybe importantly to point out, at this point, we have around 7,000 people per month coming, 7,000 individual users coming to the Biotech Vibes website and looking for jobs. And also taking into account our social media, we reach about 30,000 candidates. So this is kind of the talent pool at the position where you can, at the moment where you can reach out to. We have quite a, I think, quite nice selection of big brands, big players on the Polish market who so far has trusted us and put their job ads on Biotech Vibes website. So there's always room for more. So if you, we are obviously encouraging new companies to join us and to look for the perfect matches for their teams with us. Just to show you some of the insight, this is primarily how our employer website looks on Biotech Vibes. So we were aiming for it to be clean. We are aiming for it to be intuitive and you know, easy to read. So as an employer, you can obviously submit your materials, your links to your social media, your own text, your photos, videos dedicated to candidates, and so on. You have selection of job offers, categorized, which we'll get to in a second more. So this is primarily how it looks. And this is actually a screenshot from the homepage. So this is also how it looks on the candidate side. They can obviously go to the website and type into the searching box whatever they are looking for at the time. However, they can obviously use our own carefully selected categories, which we put together answering the needs on the market. So those are very specific to certain activities that we identified. For example, biobanking, drug discovery, research and development, clinical development, preclinical development, molecular cellular biology, cell and gene therapy. You know, there's a huge selection of it. Obviously, if you go to the website and see something that, or you don't see something you would like to see there, you can obviously let us know, and we'll act on that. Some words about pricing. So obviously we have different pricing points and different plans available. In principle, all the job ads that you purchase are active for 30 days, and you have up to 100 days to use it after the purchase, and no limits in job location. And for example, maybe important to point out at this point that we have Black Friday is quite long this year, so you still can, until tomorrow, buy 10 job ads for only 100 euros. So yeah, hurry. Okay, this was Biotech Vibes. Thank you. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for listening. We are here today. We will be here later in the evening, and feel free to give us feedback, ask any questions, either here or via email. Thank you.
Thank you, Michał. That was great. So the time is running. So I would like to invite our next guest. So Maciej Droszcz from bioincubator Spring Lab Bio. Maciej, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. So this is a concept which I'd like to present to you. We heard earlier today how important the ecosystem is, and this is an attempt to present to you again an idea which should, when it works, when it's done, lower the energy bar for the biotech entrepreneurs that need to do quite a bit more than here in Poland than what they are asked to do in more developed markets, let alone Boston, but anywhere in Europe it's probably easier to start a company than here in Poland. So again, as I said, this is a concept. It's based on a working idea which is used now at Base Launch in Basel in Switzerland. I've worked with people who started Base Launch, and the idea is to basically use their know-how and transplant it, I guess, to Poland and see again how it can be used to help entrepreneurs over here. So what is it? It's supposed to be an active bioincubator. By active, I mean that there is a group of people, a group of individuals, management that actively goes around, looks for ideas, sources ideas, looks for management, thanks to obviously groups like that, tries to populate companies around these ideas, help them exist, so that we enable biotech investments in Poland, but also beyond Poland, in the region. The model is to work with best-in-class bioincubators, including Base Launch, but there are also in our neighborhood, there are others like Bioinnovation Institute, for example, in Denmark, and also work in partnership with blue-chip specialist biotech investors. I think this is the most important thing here is the know-how. We basically need to get closer to people who know what to do with a biotech idea. and become relevant for corporate partners. Now, again, phases and so on, I'll go into more details in a second. Again, all of this is just modeling at this point. But what I'm trying to say is that there probably is a sort of a startup phase, a startup mode for this initiative, and probably also growth mode. Now, HQ, Poland, to be confirmed. Okay, so organization, again, just going into a couple of ideas of what it can be like. Experienced and well-educated individuals, CSO, BD individual, analysts, people who are remunerated on success, maybe with equity in the right way, basically. And I think what is really important is to allow them to spend some time with partner organizations, again, to absorb, let's say, all the know-how, all the knowledge that it takes to be successful in the sort of larger biotech scene. One thing to say is that, again, I'm sure in this audience is known, but whatever you do in biotech, you are global from day one, okay? You are competing immediately with Takeda and with Pfizer and whoever else there is in this world, and all the startups everywhere. So you need to be well prepared. Okay, so the value add is obviously sourcing and initial selection of ideas, going through the universities, going through all these various idea sources, but also probably bringing some ideas from abroad. Help with licensing IP, again, TTOs at the universities are helpful, but sometimes need to be urged into finding solutions, contributing to hiring management, and very important also fundraising, and the whole process management. Again, I'll spend a bit more time on that, but the incubator is also, and it's not space to rent, but it's basically a model which would allow ideas to become companies, and one of the important things, apart from people, is money. So it's also to ensure that the whole model incentivizes investors to the risk, let's say, potential future investments by pooling their money for seed rounds of this ideas. Okay, so a couple of names here. This is probably the most important and the most difficult slide because it basically is about money. Somebody needs to finance this. I see a couple of ideas on the sort of public side, see a couple of ideas on the private side. Finding a way for these two worlds to come and work together, again, to lower the bar for the biotech investments. May be a challenge, but again, it was worked out in other places. I'm sure it can be worked out here as well. Okay, so the investment model. I think, again, this is the one of the most important parts of the whole idea. So the private and public contributions are pooled and invested in pre-selected companies, probably as convertible loan, which are then converted into Series A shares when an individual partner decides to invest. Again, this is not invented. This is basically taken from the way Base Launch works with their partners, and it allows flexibility on the early investment. It also allows flexibility for partners to choose whether they are willing to follow or not, and there are consequences for any of these paths. So again, something that would help these companies to raise the first amount of money so that they become investable at a later moment for larger sort of investors. So again, a couple of words on the phases. The startup phase, probably 3 years, with the idea of finding again sources, financial sources for contributions towards operational costs, public and private contributions toward the investment costs. And the goals is basically to get it all started. So to find and strengthen partnerships, hire management, send them to all these places where they can learn and become integrated into the Polish and regional ecosystem. I think, again, when I talk to investors, everybody is worried about quality deal flow from Poland. Again, we see a couple of ideas here and there. We see companies that are established. We obviously have Ryview here. We have Selvita. We have Captor and so on. There are just a couple of things everywhere. But we need to make sure that we generate enough deal flow, again, let alone Boston, but Basel-like or maybe Copenhagen-like, so that people who come here to invest, they see that there is life in our ecosystem. So we need to do that. And also facilitate seed and Series A financing, so that, again, there is a beginning, there is management, there is board, there's life in this company, so they become investable again by larger investors. And the math here is just, again, approximation of what it may look like. In the growth phase, very similar, but probably more of the same. So I won't go into the details how these phases differ in terms of public versus private contributions. There is a bit of progress here, but again, the idea is to maintain pace, to create more companies, to ensure that there are early successes coming out of the whole process. So again, we as the region, we as Poland, we become more interesting and relevant for EU-based, but also global biotech investors. So the whole, again, this is just a summary here. The whole idea is really to have this organization partnered with high competence organizations elsewhere, so that we can drive the tech transfer and company formation, so that, again, we enable investment in Polish companies, right? Because today, honestly, if you are a biotech entrepreneur, you're probably the most hard-nosed individual around. You really have to create everything with your own hands, like, you know, starting a city on the desert somewhere. So this is my last slide. This is basically a very short screenshot-like summary of presentation of Base Launch. What they are proud of are the investors, so the partners. These are investors that help them to curate all the ideas that they see, and also investors that followed into companies that they helped create or helped find. So we see basic big names from France, from UK, from US, NEA. Forbion is a large Dutch fund, and so on, so on. Nova Holdings, obviously a huge investor from Denmark. So I guess, again, let alone Boston, as I said, Boston is a very lofty idea. We have closer to us places which are quite successful, and we need to make sure that we come connected with them and work with them. So that's one of the ideas, that if it works, if it happens, may actually lower again the bar for biotech entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I feel very inspired by your presentation. So I keep my fingers crossed for this venture. We need really this kind of concepts. So I would like to invite to the stage next speaker, Magdalena Iszczak from IPSA Poland. Yeah. The floor is yours, Magda.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. My name is Magdalena Iszczak. I'm Sales and Operations Manager in EPSA. EPSA is a international consulting company based in France. In Poland, we present one of the 7 specialized business lines, innovation. In Poland, we cooperate with companies of all sizes and sectors of activity. Our dedicated teams of experts are helping our clients with financing their development, growth, and innovative projects. We support our clients in using some financial incentives in the field of subsidies, tax credits, and Polish investment zone. We cooperate also, of course, with public sector, but also with private ones. So today I would like to tell you something about the FANG program, Smart Path. It is one of the most popular sources of financing innovation now in Poland. So it's very important to know something, at least basics about this program. This support in the form of subsidy is dedicated to large SMEs, enterprises, and consortiums. Smart Path offer modularity. It means that in one application, it's something new. So in one application, you can include several modules, which may or may not be directly related to each other. It's very important. We have 7 modules available. In very short, it's R&D module, R&D works, which is obligatory. So it have to be included in every application. It's a must. And we have also 6 other modules, which are not obligatory, which are optional. And they may or may not be included in this one application. What's more? Of course, recruitment. So the next recruitment will be for consortiums, and it starts this year in December. Just get to know this date. And next recruitment will be the single recruitment next year from June 2024. But we will see, because everything is changing all the time. So for now, it's this term. I would like to tell you something more about the R&D model, because it's obligatory, so you have to know something about it. It's the most demanding model, but also the most interesting, in my opinion. Its assumption is to conduct R&D works, R&D activities, leading to the development of product or process innovation, at least on a national Poland scale. This innovation is confirmed by an opinion of innovation issued by a patent attorney. I can't see Maciej, but maybe you can cooperate also with Maciej, who has the speech today. What's more, for example, you can use this funding for many kinds of costs. For example, remuneration of your R&D staff, of your development staff. You can also use some external services. For example, you can, of course, they have to be directly related to the project. But for example, you can outsource some work or R&D activities to a specialized entity. And also, for example, indirect costs. It's very important because, for example, you can cover this cost from funding for cooperation with a consulting company, for example, for settlement of the project. So in practice, it means that the cooperation with companies such as EPSA Poland won't be an additional cost for the company. So it can be covered by the funding. So it's very important. Of course, depending on the size of the company and the type of R&D activities, you can, as a company, receive between 25 to 80% of funding. Depends if it's whether it's industrial research or development work. But our practice shows that companies usually receive between 40 to 60% of funding. So it's quite high. To maximize the chance of receiving this funding, this support, you should properly prepare for this application process. The best it will be with the consulting company, maybe as EPSA. Today I would like to give you some tips and what to pay attention to prepare well for this application process. First of all, possibility to choose between 2 obligatory modules. I mean the R&D module and innovation implementation module for companies from SMEs sector is only in theory. So in practice, it means that a complete lack of R&D model in the application eliminates the chance of receiving funding. The most desired, the best scored projects are those who have a positive impact of innovation on society, and those which are connected to digitalization or eco-innovation. For example, some new solution for healthcare or some project, eco-innovation project in the renewable energy industry. Due to the settling of project costs, you have to pay special attention to appropriate allocation of the costs. Some mistakes related to this area may result in the need of return a part of or even the all of funding. So it's very important. You have to also pay attention to the proper selection of your research staff or of your research team, especially project manager, team leader of the project. Especially her experience in conducting R&D activities, R&D projects in the past, and her proper involvement in this project. So at least half time, but the more the better, of course. To get to know, we need at least 1 month intensive work together to prepare complete effective application. So you have to think about this program with appropriate time. To sum up a little bit about the FENC Smart Path program, it's of course not the simplest ones, but it's definitely worth taking part in it. It's very prestigious with large budget. And what's the most important, it supports innovation, companies' innovation and recognition on the market. And our involvement, how can we help you? So EPSA, okay, presentation is shorter, but no problem. EPSA helps clients with the entire process connected to subsidies. So firstly, we are separating projects which has the greatest chance of receiving funding. Then, of course, we prepare and submit application. Then we prepare and participate in panel of experts. And at the end, we are helping you to proper settlement of the funding support. Of course, it's a long-term cooperation. So we have to trust each other. We have to, feel the chemistry between each other. We have to rely on each other. So it's very important. What we want to do, we want to bring the greatest possibilities and benefits for our clients. Our remuneration is for submitting an application. For success, it's a specified percentage of the granted support. And for settlement, it's usually in monthly or hourly rate. So on behalf of EPSA Poland's team, I would like to invite you to contact us. We are here today and tomorrow also. Maybe we will have a chance to cooperate not only on the FENC Smart Path program, but also for other financing possibilities. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's always good to work with experts. So I would like to invite, last but not least, Adam Bronsal from Cube Labs. Intriguing title, subtitle, An Italian Venture Builder Enters Polish Market.
Good evening, everyone. I have to admit it's always a challenge to be the last speaker in the last session, and I appreciate the audience to be with us. I do my best to make it worth it. Okay, so let me explain what is a Cube Lab and what we are doing in Poland. Cube Lab is an Italian-based company which actually this year as the first in Italy company of this type of activity went successfully IPO. And the company was set up in 2018. We have so far 13 companies in our portfolio with the evaluation of more than 50 million euro and 34 patents. And what is important that our business model is based on the exclusivity with the very reputable Italian scientific centers, Italian universities, Italian sort of the Academia of Science from where we are sourcing the projects. And what is important and what is the basic message which I'm bringing here today is that we decided to expand our activity to Poland, to replicate the model. And I will present what is the model and hopefully at the very end also what is our plan to eventually go IPO successfully in Poland as well. So what we are doing and what we are offering to the Polish startup ecosystem. Our business model is based on the providing a full support to the Polish ideas. I'm not saying even for purpose startups, but to the Polish scientist who has an idea, inventors, who are basically academic based and sometimes do not have enough skills to provide all the efforts needed from, let's say, legal perspective, IP perspective, financial perspective to develop the project. And this is where we are coming, and this is what we are offering. We are offering the full support related to those processes. So we are searching for the good ideas, for the inventors. So side comment, I believe we are in the great synergy to the speakers who presented the presentation before me, because we have something here to add. And we are looking for the companies or for the ideas mostly, which are on the level of the proof of concept and which are, in our opinion, having a great growth potential. So what we now doing here in Poland? First of all, we are bringing an idea and we are selecting companies who will fit into our model. That's the first one. Then what is the most, I guess, important I believe that message should be spread to everyone, that we are funding the activity from day one and up to some major level of the companies, and we provide the help and the support to help the companies to grow in the future. And in which and or what areas we are active. We are active in medtech, we are active in biopharma, nutraceuticals and AI, of course, and also in the mix of the projects. And what is very important that because our team is consisting of a clinical person as well, that we are not afraid and we are dealing mostly with a very, very clinical projects. So not only digital ones, not only artificial intelligence, we have a lot of experts in the clinical medicine, and it's really our expertise. And we are offering a support in specific this type of R&D activity. So as I said, we just entered the Polish market. We convinced my colleague board members to go to Poland as the first country in Europe besides Italy to expand our activity. And what we are doing, where we are, let's say, on our plans, we are actually for the first time presenting our presence here in the Polish market. We are announcing that we started the scouting process. We are searching for the projects, and we are very keen to establish the good relation with a different type of cooperation partners whom can help us to bring the good ideas, the good projects to us. A short presentation, the team, I'll focus on my colleague Filippo, who is a founder of the company. He's a professor of some university in the United States and became recently an associated professor in the Medical University of Łódź. We have a few colleagues from the Polish team, Agnieszka and Martyna with me. And to whom is our offer addressed? It's addressed to researchers, to the inventors coming mostly from academia, who very many times do not have a company incorporated yet. This is where we are coming. We would like to have also with us as a potential partners, also some much more structuralized partners like accelerators, sciences park, laboratories, R&D centers. And maybe I will come back. What is important, and I'm just emphasizing that once again, we are offering the full umbrella support. So starting from selection of the project, guiding the scientists, helping them to set up the company, funding them, what is, I guess, the most important component, and also on the way to provide the full support of whatever type of activity needed for the future fundraising, and on the very end, what is our primary goal, on the commercialization of project. So I would like to bring the message that we are, welcoming everyone who is fitting into our criteria and is looking for the support. We'll be more than happy to help and to see any candidates to finance and to support and to bring into the CubeLab team in the future. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. So I must say I feel really, really inspired about this presentation. So I think it's the high time for the panel session, which will be led by Kazimierz. So Kazimierz, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And I wanted to invite to this panel, to this discussion, the persons who you already know, maybe not all of them. First, Krzysztof Mędrala. You don't know Krzysztof, so he's new, but Maciej, of course, and Krzysztof, not Krzysztof, Adam. Okay, there is a microphone over there. We are missing one mic. Only four. Okay. Much good. Okay, and this is a kind of final session of today in business development session. A third of the subjects which I proposed at the very beginning, there were three essentials: managing the complexity, managing the people, and now we are talking about managing the funds, managing the money. Where are the money coming from? And there is a first question. To you, I wanted to discuss it. I know you know the answers, or you should know the answers. Why, despite maybe your example, which may be the exemption, but we will learn, why investors, serious investors from Western hemisphere, I would say, are difficult about investing in life science biotech in Poland? What they are missing, or what we are missing?
Can I start? So maybe just going a little bit back in my life. Again, I'm a biologist, but I spent about 15 years working for venture funds. I worked out of London for private funds and also for a corporate fund. And honestly, I spent a lot of time with very sort of goodwill behind all my efforts to find companies and projects to invest. Again, for and these were largest investors. Again, we had in a fund, this was 200 million funds. We were looking for Series A type of ideas, and for J&J, anything would work. So small, 500,000 up to hundreds of millions, but nothing ever was interesting to my groups, and there are many reasons. The reason is again, it's just maturity of ideas, and again, maybe this sort of help or the bioincubator, whatever. So maturity of ideas, maturity of teams, reality checks. Sometimes you see teams that are just beyond reality, in terms of their thoughts about the world, but also in more practical terms. Wherever you go, if you go to France, it used to be that way, you need to invest with a local investor. You go to Scandinavia, you invest with a local investor. You go to Germany, you invest with a local investor. So we lack professional investors that would seed and then lead and become partners to established funds. I think, again, from VC perspective, this is one of the greatest obstacles, because The legal system is newish to, again, this is a risk. If you, again, to go to France, you go to Israel, you want a local partner who will manage the legal system, who will manage the whatever complexity that comes from, the particular country. And this is missing big time. So we, for the last 20 years, we have not managed to get a single fund that is in any way specializing in biotech, which is a very particular area of investment. So again, that's one way of thinking about that. And I think, again, with various tools coming in, it may be the bar is lowered, but we still need a fund that becomes a partner to large funds.
Adam, what is your perspective? Because you obviously you represent an example against my thesis that it's difficult, or maybe you should answer the question how much it costs to have you, how much it will cost us to have you here.
Okay, so I will maybe answer indirectly. Before we reach the level which I was presenting on the short presentation, we went through the almost 10 years process in the company, how to make it happen. And maybe very briefly, I fully agree with what you said before. Before we succeed in bringing the international company to Poland to finance Polish projects, we started just on the opposite way. Actually, almost 10 years ago, with my colleagues, we built up here in Poland the structure, which was directed a bit differently. We decided to invite foreigner ideas, mostly from Israel, which you mentioned also before, because we noticed that they were very open-minded and very keen to move, to relocate the R&D projects, some of them very modern, to Poland. And we were offering, they were very skeptical about almost everything, about our scientific skills, funding, basically, and the skills of the team and everything. So it was the long way to convince those people that in Poland we have the skills, we know how to do it. We not only know how to do it, but we were very, very competitive price-wise with the same services located in any other Western countries. And we succeeded that, and we fortunately, we had a few companies which successfully were relocated from either Israel and some other Western countries to Poland, and they went through entire R&D process. And what is important, it was also here presented in one of the presentations, that we leveraged the cost of that R&D activity using R&D grants. It was not easy, as always, it was complicated, but finally we made it. And then what is the final outcome of those efforts is that we see that many experts and the companies from outside, they see Polish market as the skilled enough to bring the companies and the worth enough to invest money in Poland, knowing that still the basic obstacle on the Polish market is funding, absolutely. And many times we face the situation that there was ask a question, why do you not have even a small investment coming from Polish market? We know it's difficult, it's almost impossible. It's changing a bit. We have some business angels, we have some small VC funds, but it's still not that developed in Poland. But I hope we are good samples that the efforts finally are paying back, and it's needed to convince. We basically leverage our efforts on the great skills of our laboratories, of our scientists, of our clinical trials, and that's something which I believe it's something good that we can. Based on that, we can invite the companies, the investors from outside to be in Poland.
Krzysztof, you have different perspective. You have both perspectives.
Yes.
Someone who was giving money in the brackets, and also who was looking after the money.
Yes, I work in a company which looked for an investor, and earlier I worked for investment funds as a CEO. But based on generally medtech markets, we still don't have enough size for external investors, and we need for it 10, 15 years, to be honest. Because for such investor like venture capital from UK or USA, $10 million, this is minimum size or average size. For us, this is a big company, to be honest, not a startup, not a post-startup. And the majority of the market, this is the second issue from my perspective, because if you have 10 or 15 companies which you can observe, have on the radar, it's not enough. You must have 100. I believe this scaling process which made the colleagues in 10 years will enough mature to invite the investor from Israel, UK, Germany. That needs time. If we observe the market, like for example, gaming, we have few stars like CD Projekt, and after this, when the CD Projekt shows what they can say, they invite and stimulate the market. But please remember that after the success of CD Projekt, we needed 10 years to create new companies, these people who cash out from the first success, invest and stimulate new company. This is time. And the ecosystem is one of the important issue. Still, we need to invest and stimulate this.
But it's really a question of time or the other things. Because, for example, even if you have a time, if you can shorten the time. Just recently, I talked with someone from Portugal and from the technology transfer offices in Portugal, and they said, as far as I remember, the 8 or 6 unicorns which were actually started in Portugal are actually developed in USA, because it's easier, it's faster, it's access to. So even if there are good organizations, good ideas, skilled people, and access to seed funds, they go anyway to better markets.
From our perspective in European Union, Litva is the best market from the IT perspective. The smaller market and everything what they create, they must scale, because they will not the market, local market will not enough for them. All of the unicorn which we have in this part of Europe comes from Lithuania. 1 million people. Not money, not the market, but the thinking about scaling the business. And that's create the money, investor coming back, invest, put attention on small market. The same probably is with Portugal. It means that if you have the culture, ecosystem to create numbers of potential deals, that stimulate the money. And these people who cash out from the unicorns coming back to the country when they started and create new platform, new company. That's like in Polish gaming system.
I was thinking that the part of the story and the difficulties are because of our culture. I mean, innovative, entrepreneurial culture, which is seen, because it's something you cannot hide. It's when you start talking with people, when you meet people on the conferences, when you discuss with scientists, for example, as you can see in this room, there are no scientists, because they are not interested in. Seems like seemingly they are not interested in discussing about money, because it's easier to discuss about science. So it's a part of the culture, in my opinion. What do you think?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think there is a lot of attention to converting scientists into almost anything. So, it's like scientists can do whatever. And I think sometimes we demand too much, from those poor scientists. Maybe we need to, again, what we heard about giving, the whole envelope of services. The scientist, let him be the scientist, let him develop ideas and breakthroughs, whatever. He does or she does not necessarily need to be a manager of a company from day one. So again, there are various skills and various sort of paths of life. So again, in terms of, other scientists, should they be always interested in transgressing, to the other side. I don't think it is actually the best. Some people think that that's exactly what needs to happen. I tend to think that it's not necessarily the idea. But in terms of entrepreneurship, it's a bigger problem, I think. Entrepreneurship, and when all these sort of discussions or these questions, they were asked for decades everywhere in Europe. Because everywhere in Europe we are saying, well, them, the US, or even them, the Israel, they do it better than us, right? We are kind of shy and we are afraid and we don't want to fight, and whatever good happens, it happens on the other side. So there is something about entrepreneurship, but in the larger sort of scale in Europe, we are not as aggressive, I guess. We don't want somehow to win. We're kind of happy with what we have. So I don't think it's about Poland necessarily. And as I said, I think if you are an entrepreneur today in Poland, in sort of biotech space, you are a very unique individual, because you have to build everything with your own hands, on bare land. So, you are the most hard-nosed individual you will come by. So, that's sort of my view. I hope it answers the question.
It's, from my perspective, it's absolutely impossible to not agree with what you say. But I will start from a positive side. In the last 10 years, at least myself, I see a lot of progress. It's changing a lot. It was absolutely different perspective 10 years ago. Now, an attitude of both scientists, the students whom we are meeting, students or graduates to whom we are addressing even our offer. That's why we are addressing to young scientists, because we see the change in attitude. But going into this negative part of that, the reason is very simple, at least from my perspective. When I look into the type of life science projects, which absolutely do not tolerate any shortcuts. And the shortcuts in Poland, unfortunately, mostly, if not only, are coming from the lacking of funding. We are trying to do something cheaper. We are doing to do something simpler. And in the very competitive heavy medical market, it's absolutely not acceptable, because simply we don't have funding enough to take for the best type of technologies to run the very expensive clinical trials. But I truly believe that the market is getting much more rich. We have more investors, we have much more funding sources, and I believe we can, and we are learning very fast. That's, I believe, the positive side of our scientists and entrepreneurs, that we are adapting very quickly to the standards which we see. At least that's our experience with the partners. And I believe that now, when these funding opportunities are opening again, I hope I'm looking with a great hope for the European funding coming back to Poland. And I believe that it will give opportunity, and that attitude, like with other entrepreneurial activity, will change and will give us a chance to be like Israel in the next years, a significant player on the market.
Do you have comments?
It's still a question about the time, because based on the project which financing the company in very early stage, like Alpha Bridge, they stimulate numbers of startups, but now we have so many companies which need another round of fund, and they can't fund. If we'll have such possibility, of course, from this, let's say, good company or startup can be average project which can be interesting for the colleagues, but it will be, if we will have another source of financing, it will be in 5, 7, 10 years, because still is a question about the size, and still I observe it based on the colleagues and company, and I work in the company which looked for 10 million euro in Poland. To be honest, in current stage, it's almost impossible to find such level of financing. This is nothing serious for European funds, but in Poland, 10 million euro or dollars, we can give you or invest 2, 3, but what it is? This is for 6, 7 months, and you will organize every 6 months another round of financing, it's still a question about, and if we can, as a management, concentrate on developing, we need the money for 2-3 years. The biomedicine sector is very expensive, yes? If we want to make a clinical research, we need 10-15 million. We need time for it. We need plan to do. And this is the process. If we can't set up, agree that we are able to do it, it's the fighting about the life in 3 months, and some of the people talented will go to another company, to Boston or other places. It's a question about the time and stability and perspective. And of course, we have so many potential targets for our colleagues, but that's still a question about the financing on the level after 2-3 million Polish zloty is about 2-10 million USD or euro.
Business is very, I mean, the investors are very rational. They look forward and they look for the profits, and they are trying to evaluate these innovations from the perspective of the markets. Yeah? If there is a market, if there is a scalable market for the solution, so that's kind of obvious. So this is kind of test. But I also think, and this is a question to you, if you agree or disagree, or maybe your perspective, the experience is different, that there are still some kind of issues with innovativeness, which is triggered or caused by the structure of financing we have. For example, in the presentations we had here before, we heard about the funds for innovations in life science or biotech at national scale. What does it mean, innovation at national scale?
If I can comment,
it makes sense.
Yes, if I can comment about, from my perspective, you are right saying that there is something with the innovativeness. I believe that the roots of that problem are coming from the academic approach to the situation. We still have a lot of new ideas, if not most of them, coming from universities, from the scientists, which are university-based. And today's in almost none of the Polish university, there is not any mechanism which will promote business-wise or financially those people to go into the commercialization direction. And the only ideas they are developing are purely scientific, and they are ending on some scientific publication. Maybe that's the primary, if not the only goal. There is not a system which is today promoting a student scientist to go and to prepare the projects for the future commercialization. That's a very rare case. Of course, it's present on the market, but still that component in the educational system, which will promote the future commercialization of the projects from the very beginning, just to encourage somehow students to invent something which will let them to have this as the sort of the entrepreneurship in the future. That could be the basic idea, and I don't know how to make it in practice, but it should be somehow incorporated into the educational system. That is my experience in the field.
Okay, it was not directly what I was asking about, this national scale of innovation, but I understand that this is also the issue of the academic field.
Yeah, I mean, to direct it to this question, I mean, I think that the word were at least the national level, but again, I agree. I mean, this is a nonsense, right? Again, you can't, in very rare cases, you can have anything that is of importance that actually is important only to one country, right? Again, it just needs to be global.
On your presentation, you said if you go into the life
you're
science field,
global from day one, because again, you're competing.
Global.
Exactly, you're competing with the biggest and with the smallest, with the smartest, and with the furthest away. I mean, from China and Japan, all of these individuals and technologies are your competition, because it doesn't matter where it comes from. Right? It only matters if it works. It only matters if it actually serves a purpose. So I think, yeah, to your point, in some cases, the funding sources are skewing it's not only, again, in Poland, you know, again, I saw this in the UK, where regions were sort of competing with each other, trying to, you know, get companies to Wales or wherever. And this is completely disruptive. I mean, disruptive in the bad sort of sense, right? And then, you know, some of the grant schemes and some of the funding opportunities here, which are limited to Poland, for biotech, they are disruptive again, but disruptive the wrong sense of the word, meaning they are disrupting, they are destroying the ideas, right? So we need to, you know, you need to work on connecting with you know, the money flows and with the idea flows and people flows from outside, again, at least in Europe. So one thing to say, again, I don't know if this is controversial or not, but it's also part of the sort of European startup ideas that most of the time, it seems to be changing a little bit, but most of the time we fund companies around technologies. So there is an investor, there's an inventor, there is a scientist, and we sort of want to fund the company around him or her. But very, you know, many interesting and important companies are funded around the purpose. And then you source technologies from various areas. So you can source, you know, piece of technology from Poland, a piece of technology from Italy, a piece of technology from somewhere else.
Models,
yeah, and you build it around management team, you build it around money, because it serves, again, a purpose. It serves a market, you know, it addresses a question, rather than you fund whatever time it needs for one technology to develop, and, you know, it very often fails. So what I'm trying to say is that we probably need also to change a little bit our approach and let go the idea that you should fund companies around individual scientists, but rather around, again, teams that know what to do with this innovation. So,
sorry, maybe I misunderstood the question, if I can add something. If you're saying about some innovativeness on the national level, if that was the question, that's absolutely, it requires some comment from my side. There is no such a thing for me, like, at least in the life science, like innovativeness only in the national level. It's at least, but there is no such a thing.
This is the lowest threshold.
Yeah, I guess you said so, that whenever you're starting something in the life science, you are competing almost globally immediately. And that's whenever I am dealing with the young startups, I'm trying to say that you should look into wider horizon. It's not the commercialization and the Polish level. You always have to look wider, globally. And this is what we learned in our practice, in the practical cases of our startups, which we brought from Israel. I'm always bringing back that samples, that is, they are always looking into commercialization, at least in the United States, if not globally. Because Israel is too small, its market is not big enough, and I'm trying to convey the same message to all the startups, to all the innovativeness related to life science in Poland, that we should look wider, and always, whatever IP protection, commercialization, funding should be focused, and even the clinical trials, they should be done that way that they will be recognizable in the future by FDA, by some other international authorities, and to make them accessible internationally. That's the goal, and then having something and to make it narrow only to the Polish market is absolutely a mistake.
I think this question, what we are looking for, innovation or the company which offer unique business model. We can see on Spotify, Klarna, Revolut, Netflix. They are not offering something innovation. It's a business model and it's scalable, and that's the advantage which attract the investors. Of course, we can. This is the different, and this is nothing innovation, but is the question what we are looking to scale the Polish ecosystem.
I still attribute these problems with the attracting global investors to Poland with this type of issues we have at the local level. But there are a lot of questions I would like to ask you, but maybe at least one, because we are late with the time. The very important maybe question, probably not easy to answer now. There is a lot of presentation now going on the other side, in the other room, around the medical technologies. A lot of them are related to artificial intelligence, which is artificial intelligence now is repeated in many ways in almost everywhere. Question is how this new technology, which is not really new, but how this technology, artificial intelligence, is changing the approach of investors. What will it change? Because here the progress is very fast. There are disruptive technologies, disruptive ideas coming from elsewhere or from nowhere immediately. So how this changes the attitude of investors, how this may change the attitude of investors, and maybe that's something which may be complementary to this question. Where will be the money in this area?
Well, if I can start again, so obviously artificial intelligence, had a different name a while back. It was machine learning, and some other ways. So again, the large language models, which is the sort of now the embodiment, let's say, of artificial intelligence in our heads, that's sort of new. But again, machine learning and data management and so on was used many years ago. Again, I'm talking about biotech invention, so talking about new molecules and sort of modeling the new molecules and so on. I remember, honestly, it was 15 years ago. There was a company in the US where Atlas, where I worked for a while, invested, and this was all about modeling water molecules around a larger molecule, and this was done again using machine learning. So this has been going on for many years. Now, in terms of, again, biotech development, any sort of data management and better modeling will improve the way we invent new drugs. So, again, this not necessarily need to be prompt-based, large language model where I say, invent me a new drug. But, again, the mathematical models are used already. And there was, again, and still is, a lot of interest and also huge valuations in companies that say they can use modern technologies to improve drug discovery and drug development. That's for sure. And it's been going on, honestly, for the last 15 years, if not longer.
So are you saying that from the perspective of investors, these are quicker but more difficult in terms of risk?
Well, again, the moment you see, and I dealt with a few of those. The first question, and we obey, the biotech investors are usually biologists or medical doctors. It's all about validation. So you are saying, your model does this. Well, show me, right?
But this validation, what I wanted to say, this validation may change with the new.
No. Validation is simple. You go to animals. You go to cells, you go to real life, whatever your model produces, you need to validate in reality because, your model is as good as any other model. You need to validate that if you are saying, your molecules are more likely to be successful because you avoid this, and that, and you can introduce this and that. So you need to prove that this is actually true. And the only way of proving is a living organism.
Yeah, but you're talking about traditional, I understand, biotech, but I'm asking about artificial intelligence.
No, there is no other.
Digital drugs, for example.
Okay, well, that's, yeah, of course. I mean, so to finish, yeah, I mean, this is completely different. Again, I'm sort of approaching this, the traditional drug development with AI as a tool. And so, digital therapeutics, again, that's completely different thing. Maybe others have to contribute to here.
If I can comment from two different perspectives. One, as an investor, I would say we are still on the learning curve. I cannot comment on your side. I mean, on the development of a drug molecule, because I'm not from that field. We are mostly from a neurological point of view, on neuroscience by itself, where everything needs to be proven clinically on the patient. Yeah. And still, utilization of AI, we are still learning. We don't know. And from purely investor perspective, we are collecting data. I give you the sample in one of our projects where we are dealing with a memory decline in the course of Alzheimer's disease. We are collecting on the large scale very unique data related to the mental status of the patient and the sleep pattern, but we still don't know how to monetize that information. We are learning, which are much more on the scientific side. So purely from my as investor perspective, I'm happy to have that tool to learn much more. I believe in the future we can get some out of that artificial intelligence, but still, in case of a practical medicine, when everything needs to be proven on the real life practice, and we cannot predict any practical behavior of patient based on the artificial intelligence, at least with regards to the activity of the brain, which is our primary goal in our research, it's still too early to predict what will be the practical application. So as an investor, I'm saying I am still on the learning curve.
I like this answer because actually this is the point. That this learning may be costly because it's learning, but you have to develop quickly this knowledge, this know how to invest in this type of projects.
AI is with us since 2020. Yes, machine learning, algorithms, everybody who is working with technology knows about it. Now, AI means for us Chat GPT. Because somebody create the interface where we can discuss and the case became popular, massive. But it changed the world? Not. I can say, to be honest, it's like the internet 25 years ago. We thought that will change dramatically the life and the world change, but it was step by step. Kill some. My
question was not about.
And I want to say that
financing this.
The investor, to be honest, we have so many meetings with investors. They don't understand it. They don't understand how during 2 seconds the scoring can prepare for you the credits. Nobody sitting like 20 years behind the screen and prepare the credibility, verify. Since 2022, everything is made by algorithms, by AI. Better, worse, is a process. And if we discuss with investors and show them, look, AI, this is something what we implement 5-10 years ago, and I can say it's significantly accelerate after COVID, when we could collect the databases and learn the algorithms, and now we see the results. But this is nothing, to be honest, new, and it not create a new value that you can say, I have AI and it will create the value of my company 2 or 3 or 5 years. If somebody will look inside deeper what it means, it's still about the question how you will monetize this idea. What is the business model? You have AI, but tell me how it will create the money for you. Where is the value? And still is the question about the time. I believe the company which will really able to monetize this idea, the databases during 3-5 years when the chat will implement new version, Chat GPT 6, 7, 8. But now the competition in some solution will be a little bit faster, harder, but it will not create the special advantage from the investor point of view, because the valuation means the money. What it on the end of means from the turnover, net profit, this kind of validation.
Okay, I think we could discuss this issue for a long time. So I think we should move this discussion to with a glass of wine. It would be maybe easier to finish this. I thank you very much. I think we have to stop at this moment. Maciej Droszcz, Adam Bronsel, Krzysztof Mędrala.
Thank you very much.